Hello! Greetings and welcome to you, all of our wonderful, brave citizens. It's me, Toronto's greatest supervillain and evil genius, Dr. Terrawat. This evening, hopefully, your kind and benevolent DM. Today, we are having ourselves another game of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition with the A-Team. Yeah! Once again, Cassie was unable to join us due to some family scheduling conflicts, and the B team was normally supposed to be playing this week, but have been, unfortunately, a few players were unavailable due to school and some other stuff. So here we are back at it again with the A team coming in from the top here. We've got, of course, Spooty Poots.
Spooty Poots.
And Spooty Poots is playing our wonderful snake friend, N.
Snake friend.
Yeah.
And Vrail Olo.
Vrail Olo. And next up, we've got the Killing Chick, a.k.a. KC, coming in as our grung friend, Floop.
Hello!
Yeah. And after that, we've got Warden coming in as our Thrycreen monk by the name of Keeper.
Blessings to the keepers.
Yeah! And, of course, we've got a new player with us here today. Some of you know him from our adventures out at sea. Some of you know him from some of our other older previous adventures playing
But mostly
Ark
from Star.
in and amongst the mushroom depths. We've got Shaskar joining us today.
Yeah.
Yeah! And
Yeah.
Shaskar is going to be coming in playing a fun new character, whomst we will get introduced to in a hot minute. But right off the top, how you guys doing?
I'm
Talking to us, or you're talking to the audience.
You guys, the
Okay,
players.
wow.
How you feeling?
They're doing well.
I have been vibrating on a level that only means D&D
Oh yeah,
for the past week.
I've been
I did not.
shivering with anticipation.
I was not gonna make it for another week.
I feel you. I have this awful thing where I want so badly to get into Critical Role and to watch it because all of the little animatics and all of the little bits and pieces that I see of Critical Role, especially their second campaign, I'm just like, it looks and sounds so fucking cool, but the only thing that goes through my head is like, one, looking at Matt Mercer like, I could do a fucking better job than Matt Mercer. I don't fucking
He does a damn good job, though.
he does a fucking good job, and I am no Matt Mercer by any stretch, but the
No,
only
you
thing I
are no
see
Matt
is
Mercer.
like, I could absolutely fucking do this. I'm so excited. Like,
Absolutely.
if I
See,
had
Doc-
these resources, I could crush this. And then it just makes me want to do it so bad. Like, move into a new layer, get a special dedicated room just with, like, microphones and sound shit and a big table and a bunch of sponsors and fucking
Oh yeah.
knock some shit out of the park. But
Oh yeah.
I was just like, nah.
See,
Like,
Doc, you are no Matt Mercer, but Matt Mercer is no Dr. Terrawat.
well, thank you. Oh, that makes me very happy to hear that. Thank you very much. And hello to all of you who are in the chat. We got Clay, Kara, Phoenix Buzz here. Palanthir is coming in. We got Claire, Esteban. Yeah, Rust is here. Come on in, everybody. Tonberry.
I got Mom!
I
Also,
am also
Tonberry is
streaming.
here in a threatening presence, as per usual.
Of course,
Mumberry,
of course.
hi!
Yeah. So, off the
Yo.
top, within the kingdom of Autometh, inside the Black City, we find ourselves in a collection of stone square buildings and a little corner known as Goblin Town.
Wow.
Now, some people know Goblin Town pretty well. There is a hustle and bustle of goblins running about playing Mishmash, their wacky board game that they've invented, which appears to be a mixture of chess, checkers, and jacks, as well as Martis the Minotaur, sort of the general peacekeeper, hanging out by the main gates that lead into this sector of the city. This sort of square enclosure of apartment buildings is where many of the goblins have chosen to live within the kingdom. And in a mixture of all of these places, people running about, In the early morning of this day, we find ourselves focusing on a particular goblin named Zax Triar. And that is Sheskar's character. Sheskar, describe what Zax looks like.
So Zax is a moderately tall goblin, still standing only about just over 3.5 feet tall. He's got deep green skin, the color of about wet moss, with a few lighter streaks running up from his brow into his scalp. His hair is an ash gray mess of dreadlocks, tied back to keep it out of his dark orange eyes. Sitting on either side of a flat and wide nose rather than the long and pointed nose of some of his brethren. Usually you can spot him in a long leather long coat with the sleeves cut off, mostly to make way for a pair of bracers and big gloves that he usually wears.
I have a picture of it up. And
I
linked it to it in
just
chat.
clicked on that link. It looks fantastic. I love it so much. So everybody can see that. Also, I am getting a tiny amount of echo for you guys because both Shaskar and Spoots are in the same room. So there is just a little bit of a bounce there. Sorry.
I want to
Oh,
be the
that's my
smallest
fault.
member of the team. Yeah, small people.
Yay!
Other than that, usually when he's tinkering or working or doing something that needs doing, you can usually spot him with a pair of goggles resting on the top of his head.
Excellent. Now, as some of us know, there exists within the Black City an artificer's shop by the name of Par's Parts. This is a shop that is run curiously by a mountain troll who lives in sort of the half basement underneath another blacksmithery that works just above him. It is in the early morning, though, and Zax, as per usual, you have another lesson today over at Par's Parts.
So, Zax ended up getting all his gear on, getting his backpack on with all of his tools, just to kind of lug it over. Sets his goggles on the top of his head and starts making his way over there. He's got a small shield sitting on his backpack as he walks, and using a little walking stick. Though it doesn't look like he needs a walking stick.
Mm-hmm.
He makes his way over to the artificer's shot.
Okay. Yeah, so as you make your way, you get all your things together and making your way down into the courtyard in between all of the buildings proper. You are approached by a goblin that some people are familiar with. This is a goblin that goes by the name of Fibge. Hold on, I'm going to see if I can find his picture. There he is. Boop. His little Fibge.
Oh my god. Wow.
He's just so precious. I want thousands of them.
You know,
There are
Fibge has
probably thousands of them.
been moving to the surface and back again. Attached to his hip is a little bag that has a curious amount of space in it, and he has a little sort of home-knitted purple hood that he wears pulled up over his ears. As he sees you coming out into the courtyard, he waves and trots on over to you and goes, "Oh, hey, Zax! How you doing?"
Hey, how's it going?
Oh,
Just on my way to the shop.
oh, you heading out to the shop, huh? Building more stuff?
That seems to be the most of the time.
Oh, that's
Sometimes
good.
I'm setting things on fire, but that's usually not necessarily the requested effect.
Oh, well, that's good. I got some more garbage for you if you'd like.
Do
He opens the little pouch on the side of his belt and reaches in his hand, and it goes like up to his elbow as he goes into the pouch. Then he pulls out a fistful of old cutlery. It is a mixture of spoons and forks. And he holds it out to you with a big smile.
Zax smiles and takes it off of him in his big gloved hands. I'm like,
par might like these.
Oh, good. All right. Well, you have yourself a good time. Have fun making things not explode.
Well, that's sometimes the general effect, but at least not the intended effect. But yeah.
he smiles and giggles and goes back to sitting at the side of a large pool there. That's like maybe about half a foot deep.
Zax ends up putting the cutlery into a side pocket on his backpack and starts continuing on his way.
You may add to your inventory 6 rusty spoons and 8 rusty forks.
Amazing.
The trip through the city in that morning is relatively quiet and uneventful. But eventually, you do find yourself into the shop known as Par's Parts. As you can see in the top left-hand corner, there is sort of the inspiration we have for Par as a large mountain troll. He is, as per usual when you come in, situated in the sort of back half of the shop. His massive size taking up pretty much almost wall to wall the one side of the shop, and he has like a tiny desk in front of him where he's working with his tools very daintily, making and shaping some things. As you come in through the door, a little bell rings, and not looking up from his desk, he sort of lifts his eyebrows a little bit, with a tiny pair of spectacles sort of resting on a little horn on his nose, and he goes, you're on time today.
That's. I did get stopped. I have these for you.
And I pull out the rusty utensils and just sort of like kind of neatly pile them on the desk, but not arrange them in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And then I proceed to take off my backpack and just sort of set it down next to one of the tables.
Yeah, he leans in, his sort of massive nose poking down and looking over the rim of his glasses at the collection of spoons and forks that you have, and he goes, "This is probably the 7th time I have no use for your small cutlery."
It's not mine this time.
He, with his index finger and his thumb, picks up the collection of spoons and forks, and as he grinds them together in his fingers, works them down into a lump of raw metal, which he places on one of his shelves. So, what are we working on today? As he leans over to you.
Well, I know that I got my glove to work, so now I don't have to be filthy all the time, or I can be, if it's required. But at the very least, and he waves his left glove, which has an 8-pointed star inscribed on the back of it, and it starts to glow. It starts to glow. I've got this written down. It starts to glow a fluorescent greenish yellow purple, and he takes a moment, and all of the soot and dust covering him just vanishes.
Ah, yes, the color of magic.
Yes. As you activate the device, and all of the soot and filth on you just vanishes away, he raises one of his eyebrows and nods a little bit and goes, it's impressive. It seems you've taken the instruction of keeping a clean workspace quite well. He sort of leans down to you and with one of his massive fingers kind of gives you like a little poke here and there, sort of turning you around and having a look at all the parts of like your boots and clothes and your hat and everything to make sure that you are in fact clean.
Well, I don't know about my workspace back at my little shack, but at least here, yes.
Well, all things in time. Now, the relationship that you've had with Par over the years has been very much like a grandpa who said they didn't want the cat, but then now that we have the cat, says the cat's his and doesn't let anyone else feed or touch the cat. So he's definitely got that sort of like growing relationship as your curiosity and growing intelligence definitely brought you to his shop, and you being a goblin, he definitely turned you away many times before deciding to teach you the ways of an artificer. As he's looking over some of the objects that he's sort of tinkering away on his desk, he looks over again and says, "So, have you heard any of the news out there?"
Not so much. The goblins keep playing their game, and it gets boring after a while. But thus far, I haven't heard anything else.
Well, I've heard a very interesting thing is going on down at the arena. There is a sign-up for it today at Gray's Tavern.
Yeah, who's signing up for it?
Oh, just about everyone, I'm told. They have little bits and bobs and things for all manner of people. Now, what's interesting is he gingerly removes the tiny pair of spectacles from his horn and places them on the desk. He says, "Everyone appears to be signing up, not just those who are more martially inclined. Mages and healers and even some crafters are finding their way down for some kind of, and he gestures about the air, grand competition or something."
So, what are the crafters going to do? What kind of tournament is this?
Indeed. As crafters and artificers, you and I are not often found on the field of battle. No. He waves one of his big fingers through the air. However, the things that we make often find their way out there aiding those who are defending our kingdom. Why, I helped repair some ridiculous set of halfling bagpipes that I gave to another goblin not too unlike you. And he points at you.
I think I heard that somewhere, but I think I heard screaming and accompanying with it.
Yeah, she didn't kill anybody, did she?
I only heard it from afar.
Well, as long as it's not being used against any of us, it's all the better. Dangerous thing. Anyway, and he, with his massive hands, reaches over behind his desk and produces a huge metal egg that has a button on the top. And he places it on the ground just next to you. Now, you've been working here in the shop with me for quite some time, and you've shown a great deal of promise in the amount of things that you're learning. But I think you could learn a great deal more out there doing these adventures like these people are.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Indeed. And he waggles one of his fingers. Hard work is one of the best ways to learn just about anything. How do you think I got this shop? And he gestures around to himself. Why, when I was a little troll, and he gets ready to go into one of his long rants about hard work and his life and how he pulled himself up by his bootstraps, etc., etc. But he does.
At this point, Jax is trying to make sure that when he's waving his hands around, he's not knocking a bunch of shit off shelves and stuff.
Yeah, roll me a reflex save.
Reflex. Damn it, where is it? I think that's just a dexterity save.
It should be on your sheet as a reflex, but you can do dex. Oh, perfect. Okay.
20.
So you, as he's waving his arms around, occasionally he bumps the roof or one of the shelves, and it shakes, and a couple of things actually rattle. One or two of them start rolling off the shelf, and you quickly run over, pushing items back in their place, catching one or two clockwork gizmos before they shatter on the ground. He does eventually finish his rant, which definitely has gotten shorter over the years, as he's not want to repeat himself too much. But eventually, he does settle down and he goes, "Either way, I think that this is a good opportunity to show the kingdom how much use we can be to their adventurers."
And
Now-
maybe we'll stop bringing in forks and spoons.
Maybe so. And he points at the large metal egg, specifically at the large button that's on the top. He says, "Give her a go."
So Zax sort of looks over the egg a little bit before actually pressing the button, and then sort of like puts his hand on his chin for a second, thinking, and then just reaches out.
Give me perception.
Perception. Doo-doo-doo.
Okay. So you can definitely tell that, like, a lot of the metal that this egg is made of, all the different plates and everything, the different plates actually, while they are affixed into the shape of an egg, they're not attached to each other. The seams between the plates are apart in the way that they are. Though the egg itself, while you are standing next to it, is considerably larger than you. It's almost a medium-sized creature by itself. So you do need to kind of hop a little bit to get to the button at the top. But when you press the button on the top of the large egg, immediately steam and gears start to whir and twist and turn on the inside as it changes.
Immediately as it begins to change, knowing better, I take a couple steps back.
It changes into a large mechanical spider. The second it finishes unfolding from its sort of egg shape into what appears to be a four-legged mechanical spider that has a seat in the top center of it, and a large sort of bulbous, gear-covered trunk on the back. The two little colorful globes that are on the front immediately blink to life. And it turns around the room, sort of looking over at Par, and then it looks over at you.
This might be a little bit difficult to communicate with, and I step forward and give like the center between the eyes like a gentle like poke.
It takes a few steps towards you, sort of pushing that part of its front hull into your face, not knocking you over or striking you, but sort of just pushing against you.
I sort of back with my own head.
Seems that it likes you.
Is that what it does?
Yes, this is a mount. There are many adventurers, I'm told, once upon a time, that would use these kinds of things like donkeys or horses or elephants or whatever monsters they had that they would ride as beasts of burden. However, they would not just ride them, they would ride them into combat. They would use them to their advantage when they are fighting. Now, I don't know if this thing would be able to help you out in combat at all, but it would certainly make an interesting test during the mounted combat section of their challenge that they have. This great thing going on at the arena.
That could be interesting.
It continues to beep, and its eyes sort of blink a little bit as it does so. Like they flicker to a brighter blue as it continues to sort of nudge you.
Hey, okay, what? Okay.
He reaches down with his index and thumb and sort of tries to pick you up to put you in it.
I can do it. I can climb.
All right. And he puts his hands up like, okay. Do you climb into it?
At that point, Zax sort of takes a step back and kind of makes a circle around it just to give it a good once over, and then as soon as he gets to the side of it, he reaches up and begins to try and climb up to where the seat is.
As you begin to climb up the one side, it immediately lowers itself down, placing the sort of center part of its body against the ground so that you can get a hold of it.
Oh, thanks.
And
as you climb in, you see that there are on the inside, like there's a seat that appears to be sized for you, and there is a series of sort of levers and controls. Parr, leaning his massive face down next to the mechanical thing, points with one of his fingers to the inside and goes, "Now these, they have controls for mounts up on the surface and elsewhere, called reins. Now, I don't understand what the weather has to do with controlling these sorts of things, but either way, these will help you control this mechanical helper of yours."
Does it always need to be controlled, or can I just tell it, hey, go stand over there for now?
Well, try it.
Hey, turn around.
Okay, so this isn't necessarily animal handling, but it is. Let's have a look here. In terms of your skills, I'm gonna say, what is like a tech check for you?
Probably Arcana.
Or
Yeah.
intelligence, just straight up intelligence check.
Yeah. I'm gonna say, yeah. Give it an intelligence check. Okay.
Not
So
safe.
you.
Oh, that's the same.
Click on your intelligence stat. Like, well,
No. Well, either way, you say to turn around, and it immediately responds, and starts crawling up one of the walls until it's upside down.
So I definitely like hang on to the controls and like try and keep myself in this seat a little bit.
Roll me acrobatics. Sweet.
It's so perfect.
You manage to get the little seatbelt that's in there fastened, which is really just a piece of rope around your waist, just as it's going up the wall, and then gets onto the ceiling, grabbing onto the controls to steady yourself. It does actually cause it to lurch around. Parr, for all his usual bravado, is just sitting there on his half of the shop with his hands sort of folded on his desk, watching you, nodding, going like, "Oh, you found the restraints. Good, that's smart. Yep, that's okay. So that one, yep, okay, you see, yes, it makes you go this way, and it continues to sort of make its way around the room, sort of crawling about through the shelves, knocking a handful of things over, to which Parr doesn't seem to react.
Back.
Roll me another intelligence check. All right, you do manage to get it under control, and it sort of affixes itself in the middle of the room, and is its feet still sort of tapping around on the floor in place, as it appears eager to go places with your hands on the controls. But you kind of get a feel for the controls themselves.
Okay, this goes there, that goes there, and it's easy, not sudden movements. Okay.
That's right, nice and smooth with the controls. I made them nice and smooth for you.
Maybe a little bit too smooth sometimes, because if it jostles me around, then it's gonna jostle the controls around.
Yeah, no such thing as too smooth.
Compensate for that.
Now the advantage is this thing will be able to get over difficult terrain, not having to worry too much.
Well, that's all good. Sometimes I have difficulties climbing things.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it got onto the roof. I never did that before.
Well, learning experience for both of us, I guess.
Indeed. So in the back, there's a trunk. Should be able to hold up to about, and he kind of waves one of his hands around, about 200 or so pounds of stuff, give or take, as well as a similar weight for yourself there in the seat.
Really? And Zax tries to get up to around to actually take a look at it, but forgets that he's still tied in. So there's a moment of panic where like he
Oh, God.
jumps up, he falls back down. It's like oh right, and then he unties himself and sort of like turns around in his seat to take a look at it.
Yeah, you see on the back there's like sort of a panel that you press on, and it opens sort of sideways and then up, revealing like a large circular space in the back of it that you can put items and whatnot. The carry capacity for that is at 225 pounds, and there's an additional 225 pounds carry weight in the seat. I will now make this so that you can see the thing here. Okay, good. And good. All right, so now in the journal section, you should see the mecha mount.
And I do.
So yeah, it does have a travel speed of 40 feet, similar stats to a pony. That it has the 40 feet travel, and it just has double the carrying capacity. So it has 225 in the trunk and then another 225 in the actual seat itself. Beyond that, this is treated as a mechanical homunculus that the artificers can create. In this particular case, though, it seems to be a mechanical homunculus that was created to the size of Par, which is, to you, a mount-sized creature. It does have a set of controls built into it, and it does appear to have sort of its own personality. As it is not directly your homunculus, you can still give it orders and use the controls to give it commands and whatnot, but it does sort of have a will of its own, as you've seen. But yeah, and he goes, right, so this is a homunculus. This is one of the things I was talking about that we could be working on for some time. At its core is a diamond that I have enchanted. And it's very precious. So, if you break it, and he gives you a pointed look, just bring the gem back to me, and we can fix it.
Oh, that's good. I wouldn't want to take this thing, like, especially considering it's a tournament. If it breaks, I wouldn't want it to be, like, all broken.
Well, exactly. The benefit is, if it does break, you bring the gem back, and I'll be able to make you another one, just with the gem.
Awesome. I remember reading about these, but I didn't think they would be able to actually carry me.
Indeed. They do appear in different sizes, depending on who you are, so a smaller sort of mechanical helper for me is, a larger mount for you. Should work.
Hopefully. So you want me to join the tournament?
Yes. I don't know what they're going to be doing in the mounted section, but I'd like to see you take this into the mounted section of the tournament.
Oh man, that's so much pressure.
And anything else you see that might tickle your fancy or give you an opportunity to show off any of the inventions you've put together.
That's a lot of pressure, but I think I got a few of them that would be helpful in a tournament, so I could probably put together a couple extra ones.
Indeed. What's that cannon thing you're working on?
Oh yeah. I've got it so that I can I've got and he hops out of the spider mount and hops over to his bag and pulls out kind of a little sack that's of jingling things, and just kind of holds it out and opens it onto not pouring it out, but opens it onto his desk. Just to see that there's glass tubes there's bits of wood, there's a whole bunch of scraps of metal and stuff like that. So I figured out how to sort of not really will it, but I snap my fingers and I can coalesce some junk together into a cannon that can do something different depending on what I need at the time.
He sort of nods his head, looking around, and he, pretty quality parts. That's very impressive. He sort of like with just the sort of the tip of one of his pinkies, he sort of opens the bag and has a look in, and sort of turns his head to one side so that one of his massive eyeballs sort of looks inside. And goes, I see. And this turns into a cannon.
Kind of a smaller version of that, and he gestures to the spider thing. Depending on what I need, but usually it'll still be able to walk around and depending, I could probably have it shoot like a big blast of fire, or if I need something that hits much longer range, something that does that and pushes people around.
That could be very useful.
I'm working on like a third type too. It kind of it's hard to make it do what I want, but it sort of like fills me with at least how I've done it is it fills me with some energy. So it I guess revitalizes me. I don't know.
Impressive stuff. I gotta hand it to you, Zax. You've been working on some pretty impressive things. Especially for being a goblin. But especially for being as new to this as you are.
It's all this stuff is interesting. I mean, like, look at all this stuff, and he gestures wildly all over the room. And then, for a pointed matter, he runs over to the spider mount and gestures all over the spider mount.
Does like the Will Smith gesture to the spider mount. And he nods and smiles warmly, and he goes, "Not everybody finds this as interesting as you and I. I say, for this afternoon, head down to the tavern, see what they're doing. See if there's an opportunity for us to show off any of our technology to the rest of the kingdom."
That's probably a good idea. And out of curiosity, does Par's Parts actually have like a logo, like a billboard outside the establishment?
The outside of the establishment, there's sort of a sign hanging above the half stairs that go down to the door, as it's like a half basement dwelling. The sign that hangs outside is just, it says Par's Parts in metal, and underneath it is sort of a large gear with a spring in the middle.
So at that point, when he starts kind of bouncing a little bit with a little bit of anticipation, excitement, and mild panic, he walks back over to his backpack where his shield's lying across the top portion of it. Well, I guess if I'm representing the shop, I should probably look the part too. And he kind of walks over and pokes his finger into his shield, and what once was just sort of a standard wooden shield with like just a common wood, it says around the perimeter of it, Par's Parts, and the main logo appears in the center of it.
Aw, he smiles real warm, like a big, no-teeth, big, warm old guy smile, as he's looking down at the shield, and he says, "Oh, that looks really good."
Thanks to today's sponsor, Par's Parts.
yeah, sponsored by Par's Parts. And he goes, "Now, the mecha mount here is not going to be going with you to the shop, obviously, but when you do have use of it, you can come back and pick it up from me here." And he sort of like reaches down and with the tip of one of his fingers, one of his fingernails, turns the bolt that's just on the front of it, and it immediately switches back into its egg form.
All right, remind me next time I'm back not to do that while I'm sitting in it.
Yes, there is control for that in the seat, but don't do that while you're sitting. And I should move those controls. He's like, he sort of like looks around and like, like takes out a sheet of paper and like a quill and starts making adjustments to what appears to be a blueprint for this thing. He's just like, put that somewhere else. I'm gonna crush this goblin.
All right, then how long until this tournament? Should I go right now?
I think it's tomorrow, but I believe the sign-ups are for today.
Okay, I probably should get there sooner rather than later there, just in case they decide to close like at nightfall or something.
Oh yes, no, of course, go. And he shoos with his hand.
So Zax at this point grabs his backpack, slings it over his shoulders, and like with a brisk step to his walk, pulls open the door and
Toast in his mouth.
toast in his mouth, a bit of pocket bacon in his coat. Starts to trot away from Parts in the direction of the tavern.
And off you trot, heading down the streets into the city proper. You go. Now, turning our attention back, we find ourselves in the markets of Automath.
Ooh. Nice.
Now, these big old markets are well known to some of you, less so to others. But you find yourselves walking around the streets, each of you, as you enter, just sort of a few minutes staggered from one another. The first to enter the city, we'll say, ahead of the rest of the group, moving at a large stride, is Keeper. Keeper, as you enter into the city, you're sort of like walking around, and it's just really taking in all of the hustle and bustle of people sort of going about their day, as it's just reaching around midday at this point. The market is definitely busy. There's lots of people walking about, making purchases from different stalls and different shops. Lots of commerce. There's a few people even sitting about. In the market area, doing a few things. You are joined, of course, by your two comrades who have been traveling with you down to this area. Furkick, your one bug fellow, the other Thrygreen that has been traveling with you, as well as the young orc who was also a part of your monastery, Gushar, and Gushar's partner. Who is Tethar.
I was simping for that orc until I met that that partner of hers. Oof. Oof.
Right.
Big oofs.
Big oofs.
Yes. So for the folks at home who are curious, the orc who is also traveling with the group, who's not from the monastery, Turthar, she is an orcish fire genasi. So her hair sort of glows in a sense, as well as the markings on her arm. As you guys are making your way through the hustle and bustle, the one that's with you, Furkick, points out to one of the kiosks that's off to one side that appears to be selling a mixture of fruits. And he trots over excitedly, pointing at it.
What is it, Furkick?
He smiles really, really broad, and sort of like gives you sort of a your version of a sly grin, and goes, "My name is Keeper."
Right.
And he sort of bounces.
It's going to take a little bit to get used to being three of us.
Yes.
And he points at the fruit and goes,
This is called fruit.
Yes, it is. It's quite delicious, most of it.
Gushar, walking along with you guys, smiles, looking down at it, and goes, "Yeah, it's that's apples. You guys want an apple?" And Furkick nods, really, really excitedly. And she looks to you. You want an apple?
Yeah, yes, please. Why not?
She smiles and takes a small amount of coin that she has sort of tucked into her belt, and hands it to the person there, grabs a pair of apples, hands it to you guys, and then grabs another apple and hands it to her partner. immediately Fur Kick sort of like jams it into his mandibles on his face and just like just gets right into it, going crazy for about 3 seconds. He's about a third of the way through the apple, and then he looks up and goes,
Delicious.
Yes, they are quite nice for a keeper. But we try to maintain. We must try to remember to maintain composure while we are outside of the monastery. Remember, while we are outside the walls, we represent not just ourselves, but as we wear our robes, and as we represent the entirety of the monastery.
Ooh, right.
he like slowly, sort of like all of a sudden self-conscious of his movements, like stands up very straight, and his face takes on a very stoic posture, and he then takes like a single munch from his ankle.
Single munch.
I kind of stand up straight as well and regain my composure as well. Like, give him a good nod, like a stern nod that says yes, good, yeah, like now you're getting it.
Like yeah.
And then this is out. And then I reach up and I take a nice big bite of my apple, just a respectful bite, and then just kind of.
It tastes fantastic. A lot of the food that is up in the monastery is nutritious, but it also is often very simple. So it is really rare that you guys get an opportunity to really consume this special kind of food. So it tastes fantastic. And yeah, making your way through the streets in the market, you eventually make your way to a tavern that is large and made of gray stone, and there's a big old ramshackle wood sign that has been hammered into the stones just above the large-sized door that says Grays. And in that moment, Gashar points up to the sign and goes, "This is the place."
I look up and down, like up to the sign, and kind of smile to myself. It's been a little bit since I've been here before, but I always have fond memories of coming here when I come to do my deliveries.
And you make your way into the tavern. With that, we will switch our focus over to one of the other lovely people who's entering the city. It's Floop, our
Hey,
grung.
it's me.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna load
My
this.
two cousins.
That's right. So, you are entering into the city with your two cousins, Floosh and his older brother, Roosh.
Man, you guys have such good friends.
As you are walking along, Floosh, the smaller of the two brothers, spots a shop that is for. You're not sure. It appears to be a shop that is for adventuring goods, but also appears to be selling largely just piles of garbage. Looking in through the windows, and it says Goober and Gobbles on the outside. Floosh points to the shop and goes, "Oh, this looks nice. You think we could maybe go in and we could find something that could help us on our adventures?"
Well, I mean, I don't think the tavern is closing anytime soon, so I guess we can, like, see?
Roosh sort of like gets a hold of his brother by the hand and pulls him aside to one moment, and then to the two of you goes, "It might be better for us to perhaps see what challenges we'll face in the arena, and then buy whatever supplies we need accordingly." Way
That is smart.
we're not wasting what small coin we have on things that we might not need.
She just pats Floosh on the head very softly. We will go. We'll come back here and see after. Okay?
Okay, it smells like a lot of bugs in there. Oh boy. And you guys continue along. Eventually, you guys do also find yourself to the doors of the large tavern labeled Grays. Floosh looks up and points at it and goes, "I think this is the place."
Sure looks like it.
Quickly, you guys make your way inside. And then we of course find ourselves in the company of the Yuan-Ti abomination, making her way down the streets. N.
Final Fantasy Tactics fight music intensifies.
So N is still in her abomination form. So like a large sort of half snake person who is large size. The streets are definitely big enough to accommodate you, but as you make your way through the streets, people do definitely steer clear view or avert their gaze.
Good.
Good. Fucking.
Good, great. That's what I wanted.
What is curious as you are, where did I put it? I definitely had it in here somewhere. It was a thing. Either way. Let's see if I can't just grab that quickly. Roll me a perception check.
Perception check or just my passive perception?
Are you looking actively at things around, or are you just making your way?
I guess I am actively looking at things around.
Making your way downtown.
Slithering fast.
Yeah. There we go.
Wow.
Did it roll? I'm not seeing it. Oops, there it is. A 6. So it is a bit of a struggle as you're making your way to actually find what it is that you're looking for. The Gray's Tavern that you are looking around, it appears that you are unable to find it. But you do see, sitting on the side of the road just next to some of the other kiosks, you see a pair of Yuan-Ti abominations.
Abominations?
Rather, purebloods, sorry.
Purebloods.
You see a pair of purebloods sitting there. One of them is doing a series of artistic renditions on a piece of paper with a brush and some ink. She appears to be drawing a portrait of another goblin who is sitting on a stool shortly in front of her. The other, who is standing next to her, is wearing like a bit more armor and is carrying a sword, appears to be standing guard. Casey with the making my way downtown. I'm a snack, so go fuck yourself now. But
Exactly. That's my character. That's in essence and entirety my character.
Indeed.
So I do walk up to them, or I go over to them. What's your reaction?
As you slither closer to them, the one pureblood who is standing with the sword, she kind of has it in a passive stance. She does see you, and she gives you a polite nod. The one who is on the ground stops her work briefly, looks up to you, and smiles warmly, and says, "How can I help you?"
I'm looking for Gray's Tavern.
Oh, yes. She grabs another parchment from sort of a small stack that she has to one side, dips her brush in it, and she says, "I'll draw you a map." And quickly, within seconds, she quickly just sketches out like where you are on the street, and you have to take a left, and then it's a right, and then it's up some stairs, and then it's over there. And she says, like, you should be able to make your way here without any trouble whatsoever. And she holds up the parchment for you.
I take the parchment and give it a look over, and then I like look around my surroundings to like kind of like gazing across the streets to like as reference, because I haven't been in the city very often, and when I do, it's not to go to some tavern necessarily. There's like mild contempt on my face if you're able to figure that out, but
Well, I mean, if you want, you can do a insight check to see if she does indeed notice your contempt.
I don't care, so I'm not gonna.
That's fair. As you take the parchment, she smiles very warmly at you, and nods and says, "Is there anything else?"
think about it. Do you know anything about this tournament?
She sort of like looks to her partner, who nods to her, and then she looks back to you, and she says, "Yes, I'm told that there's going to be a lot of tests of skill of different kinds. They say that after the few mixed race teams went to the surface and succeeded in a handful of missions, and not only surviving up there, but bringing a great many of the kingdom's people back in safety, that they are curious, at the very least, if they can produce more teams with similar strengths to go to the surface and achieve other goals for the kingdom's sake. So there's going to be lots of different things. There's going to be some kind of game of riddles. I think there's a few things involving magic, and I think there's a foot race, something involving mounts, and of course a combat section.
Sorry, I'm on push to talk. I'm just, I consider their words carefully. I looked them over again and ask, what makes you live in this city?
And she smiles at her partner and then smiles at you and says, "It is peaceful for us. We can live freely here. We can be whoever we decide, and others cannot tell us how to live. It is nice." She gestures to the others that are on the street and she says, "The people here are happy. There's no hatred, there's no anger or malice, there's no war, there's no sickness. This is the kind of kingdom that people would write stories or sing songs about."
And what is its structure if it were to be attacked?
She sort of tilts her head to one side, confused. Says, "I don't understand."
I consider that response in my, like, silently. So there is no plan for if this city were to be attacked.
The one standing guard next to her goes to speak, and the one doing the calligraphy motions like puts up a hand and motions to her to nod effectively, and she says, "I'm sure if any threat were to come to the city, that the king would have a response, and that the knowledge of such a thing is not important to us. In the many years that this kingdom has existed, it's never been invaded. And even if it were," she pointedly looks down the street, and you can see, roll me perception. Roll me another active perception. Let's see. Sweet. You see down at the end of the street, marching sort of around one of the corners, is a battalion of Blackguard. Maybe about 20 or so of these soldiers round the corner and make their way down another side street. They step in perfect unison with one another, carrying like thick, ornate black plate mail. Very large shields and very large swords out of their scabbards as they march through the streets. Each of them you can see with a 20 perception. Inside the helmets, you see the glow of that pale blue fire in their eyes, matching every one of them as they make their way along and down one of the other side streets. And she says, "That is our defense. The only threats that this kingdom faces are threats from within, and even then, the threats that we have seen have been handled very well and, well, suffice to say, very publicly."
Are there many others of your kind that live in this city?
Well, she shrugs and depends on how you define many. There are certainly enough of us here and there. Would you like to come and live in the city with us? And she smiles to you.
Absolutely not.
And she kind of like chuckles a little bit and says, "That is fair."
And without another word, I start making my way down towards the
Yeah.
like
As you turn, she says, "Have a pleasant day." As you
while looking at the map. And
as you disappear.
I don't respond to it.
Yeah. So, you vanish into the streets. Following the map, it's easy. Getting to where you're trying to go, it's a really direct route. Going along through the streets, it's like there's nothing that you don't find yourself in any positions where you would need to switch to your smaller size in order to make your way down any of these streets. And even the section with the stairs are small enough that you're able to just slither right up them without having to change forms.
I would like to point out that I do have a little bit more difficulty going up and down stairs with my snake tail form, but probably not enough to reduce any of my speed any more than walking up and down stairs would.
Oh no, like going up downstairs would be harder for you if they were made for creatures of your size. Being a large-sized creature, these stairs appear to be made for small-sized creatures, so really for you at this point, it's just kind of slightly rough terrain. So, like, you just go right up them. Like, it's totally fine. But yeah, and you find yourself as well to the front of the large tavern labeled as Gray's. The large wooden doors at the front are built and shaped in such a way to definitely accommodate creatures of your size.
I take a look around outside to see what kinds of people are hanging around, and I'm trying to see if there are others hanging around outside that are seemingly interested in the fight.
Roll me another perception. Firebolt.
Whoops, wrong button.
Whoopsie.
Whoops.
So with a 23, looking around, you can see definitely that there is inside. You can hear a lot of hustle and bustle. There appears to be a lot of people indoors. Definitely a bunch of folks making their way around or talking between each other. Outside the building, there's like a few pockets of different creatures that are at a distance sort of discussing each other and gesturing or looking at the building multiple times. A few of them eye you cautiously as they see you approach the building. There's like different collections of like trolls and orcs and goblins, a few undead here and there. And when you approach the door and then turn and look at the rest of those people, one of the groups of trolls kind of rubs the back of their neck and leaves. So clearly not wanting to get involved in whatever contest contains you. So they fuck right off. So yeah, you definitely see like a few pockets of sort of like singular race groups sort of hanging out in groups of like maybe 3 or 4.
Okay. All right. So from that, I have gleaned that there are like what types of people are seemingly interested, and that I'm probably the only one so far that's going in alone.
It's possible, yeah.
Like that's basically what I can tell from these. If you're like from what you said,
yeah. You roll me insight.
Okay.
Because I'm like, visually, that's what you see between the groups. But roll me an insight check to see if you sort of intuit it. Yeah, you're not sure.
Okay, fair.
Like, you see them there, and you're looking at the groups of them, and you're like, okay, so these people are joining up in, like, groups of 3 or 4 of whatever they are, and that appears to be what's going on out here.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, well, then I go in.
All right. Making your way inside the tavern. We find ourselves, ladies and gentlemen, in a relatively crowded space. As you head in, and we'll sort of get through everybody who's sort of coming in one after the other, you find yourself in a large space. Definitely got a higher roof than you would expect from a standard establishment like this. There are tables of varying sizes. Some of them have different sized seats and stools. Some of them are just literally sections of a tree trunk cut out and then put on the ground for the larger races to sit on. And working behind the counter, there's one large rock troll wearing a big apron and a little comical chef's hat stuck on top of one of his horns as he's stirring a great big pot of some kind of stew. Your senses as each of you enter this building are sort of like a waft with smells of different things like meats and ales, and this stew in particular smells quite nice. And in and amongst all the hustle and bustle, situated at the center of the room at a relatively regular-sized table, sitting in as about as nice a chair as one can find in a space such as this, you find a one Benjamin Hyde. He's sitting there politely going over a series of forms as people have formed like a small queue in front of him. Now, the first one...
He's got fucking spaghetti under his hat. I don't...
Benjamin, my boo. Yeah. So there's Ben, and we'll bring everybody in and around the same time. We'll say that you guys entered within like a moment or two ahead of each other. You guys sort of find yourself standing in the larger space that's near the door where there aren't really any tables. Many of the tables are filled with, as you're looking around, mixed race groups. You see there's some turtles sitting here and there. There's a few orcs, goblins, trolls. There's an ogre kind of sitting angrily on the floor at a table with his shoulders tucked in because he's scared he's gonna break some things. You see there's like a few undead, but they're all at different tables. So each table has one of a bunch of different people, and they're sort of talking to each other and shaking hands and going about. There is still a few empty tables here and there. The group that's in front of Benjamin then gets cleared, and he gestures over, and they make their way to a table. Looking up at the group of you, all standing sort of in the area around the middle of the open space with a few other creatures in and around your area, he gestures to each of you and says, "Yes, you are here to sign up. Is that correct?"
Yes.
So you approach the thing. The two that are traveling with you, both Flush and Roosh, sort of walk up to the thing with you. And Benjamin looks to each of you and says, "Right, so if you're to sign up, then each of you will be signing up individually. We will be mixing each of you up and then placing you at a table. Does that sound like something you would agree to?" Flush looks very nervous and goes, "I don't know."
I don't know exactly who he's speaking to at this point.
He's talking to Flush and them.
I get in line somewhere.
Okay, yeah, you queue up behind them. As you guys get in, at least for you, Keeper, both Gushar and Turthar just nod to you and say that they'll be at the bar, and they make their way over to the bar to get a drink. Furkik stands next to you.
Floop is very nervous because she doesn't want to have Flush separated either from his brother or her.
Yeah.
But she doesn't care with who he comes going, but she just doesn't want to have him go alone.
and he sort of like looks to each of you, his impeccable mustache gleaming in the candlelight. And Floosh looks very nervous and goes, I don't know if I wanna hang out with these other people are scary. And Roosh kind of goes, yeah, I don't want my brother going anywhere without me, so maybe we'll spectate. Would that be all right with you, Floop?
She stops a few seconds and she just nods. That's okay.
Roosh looks over his shoulder at the menacing snake woman standing behind him, towering over you guys, and goes, it might be a bit more slurping up more than we can gulp in this particular case. We'll just get some food. They do look to you and go, are you all right though, Floop? Are you gonna be okay?
I'm gonna be fine.
Floosh lets out a deflating sigh of relief. It goes, oh, good, and sort of like flop, 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 walks over and scrambles pitifully up onto one of the stools and sits there, waves down the barmaid, who is also a large rock troll. She, wearing a strangely nice dress, trundles over to where he is and starts taking his order. Roosh goes over with him. Benjamin then turns his attention back to Floop, standing in front of him, and goes, right, so...
I guess I'll sign.
He dips his quill in some ink and starts writing furiously on the paper very quickly, goes through the forms, and goes, can you read Common?
Yeah.
Ah, quite good. So this tournament will be the first that the kingdom is sponsoring, but not managing, or at the very least putting on, through their own volition. I have been requested by some interested individuals within the kingdom to put this event together to not only perform and entertain for the denizens of this kingdom, but also to show that our kingdom possesses a great deal of strength, and that our strength lies in our cooperation, our diversity, and our courage. And he gives you like a little nod, and says, so, would you be interested in joining one of the games?
Yeah, sure. I'm always up to make new friends.
Interesting. We have games of riddles, there's a foot race, there will be a game of subterfuge, as well as a challenge of growth, where we will bring out some plants and whatnot that require aid, as well as a combat challenge. Would you be interested, in the very least, at one of these things?
The growth. And she almost claps to herself, but like she refrains.
Indeed, all participants will be sort of grouped together in the center area of the arena, and the games will be held in and around sort of outside of them. So each of them that we bring on that you are interested in, you simply step forward and will be and you will be included. All right, and he sort of turns it to you, turns the paper towards you and hands you the quill and goes, just sign right here.
Yeah, she starts signing, and at the end, she just uses her tongue and blips on it as a signature.
Bleh. So you, like, give a little blem on the corner of the page. He nods and smiles as much as a skeleton without a face can, and goes, excellent, quite good, yes. And he gestures over to one of the empty tables and goes, you can have a seat right there. I'll send some others over to your table in short order. As you step aside, he then cranes his neck up, looking at N. He goes, it's been quite some time since I've seen some of you up above the surface. Are you interested in taking part in this tournament?
I am. And I move closer to the bar, or I move up to it.
You move up to the table, and he goes, oh, wonderful. And I'm assuming that you heard the pitch that I gave to the little one just a bit earlier?
Barely. I wasn't paying attention.
Fair is fair. There will be games of riddles, a foot race, games of subterfuge, challenges of growth and healing, and of course, and he eyes your armor, combat.
I'm gonna add this there. How can a skeleton eye someone?
Yeah, it is. You know what? Roll me. Roll me. It's not intelligent. Roll me insight. Roll me an insight check.
Okay, hold on.
Me or her?
Either of you can if you want. All right, sweet. So for the both of you, it is strange. You can't quite put your finger on it, but Ben has just an alarming amount of expression for a person without a face.
Fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will confusedly make my way to the table.
Yeah. He goes, right, so, we'll be signing you up, and here. And he, again, turns the paper towards you.
Choose one, but go ahead.
Would any of these games interest you in particular?
Can you give me any more information than just their titles?
Well, adventurers must, of course, be prepared for any number of things that come their way, so I am forbidden, as he taps the side of the space on his face where his nose would be, from giving you too many details on these particular challenges. But the challenges do center around subterfuge, so being able to talk your way around an individual, convincing people of bold-faced lies, as well as challenges of speed in the foot race, games of riddles and intelligence and wisdom, games of healing, and of course, combat against some of the soldiers that we would be creating for you as dummies to fight and show off your skills.
Then I will sign up for the combat.
Quite good. And he sort of makes a check or two on the paper before he, again, turns it towards you and says, you just sign right here. You will be brought into the arena with any other members that have joined in, and each of the challenges that come up, you will be able to step forward and then participate in each challenge as they arrive.
All right, and I sign the paper, Vrail Olo.
Then he smiles and nods and goes, excellent, quite good. If you would like to sit? He sort of turns his head to one side, looking you over, and goes, you may rest yourself over at that table there. And he gestures to the table that Floop is sitting at.
I try not to sigh too much.
Just like, you may have a seat.
Oh, good.
I have
Appetizers.
disadvantage at sighing.
Yeah.
And I go and sit at the table all coiled up on my tail, as opposed to on a chair.
Yeah. You coil yourself up, sitting at the table. You see, though, as you are sort of making the short distance towards the table, just very briefly, sorry, I was going to drop this in here, but as Keeper is sort of stepping up and engaging with Benjamin, you are making your way over to the table, and you hear an all too familiar and all too fucking irritating voice come at you from your left side. He goes, good to see you again, dear sister. You turn and face your brother.
Get my fucking table. Get my table.
He is sort of standing a little bit as he moves politely in your way. He is in his pure blood form, but has sort of mastered it to such a fashion that he looks almost indistinguishably human. Save for his sort of burning red snake eyes that he has. This is your brother, who I have decided to rename because I did not like the name I gave him previously. This is Alton Wesley. Casey, everyone's hot because I would like a universe in which people are attractive to my standards. So, like, I'm
Even the bug people.
Even the bug
absolutely.
people.
Even the frog people.
I'm actually
Yes.
working on a piece of art of this keeper as well. I could bring that up, but it is still a work in progress.
If you want to, absolutely.
Continue with this.
But yes,
Wow.
he sort of steps casually, jauntily, sort of half obstructing your path to your table. And he goes, "So, good to see you've made a show, dear sister."
I wouldn't pass it up for the world.
Indeed.
I say matter-of-factly to his fucking face.
Yeah, he, gives you a once-over from the top of your head along the sides of your armor and then down your snake body, and says, "Interesting. So curious to see that you have somehow made your way into this challenge. I wonder what you're hoping to prove."
And what, would I tip my hand that easily to a possible adversary in this challenge?
He smiles wide but shows no teeth at that mark, and he says, "One would hope you would make amateur mistakes every now and then."
I'm sure you're speaking from experience.
He again smiles and goes, "This should prove to be most entertaining." Then, quietly, he turns away and he says, "And that is all the time that I have to play with you." Walking over to the bar, you can hear him call something out to the to the barmaid who's running the area as he takes an absolutely foppish seat on one of the stools. He sits with an elegance that you could see only high royalty, and the way that he squares his shoulders and definitely carries himself is with a tremendous amount of grace.
How dare you mirror me?
Yeah, yes, that's right. I've made someone who's a bigger asshole. He sits, and he's just got about himself just an air of absolute royalty. But that may yet prove his weakness as you find yourself at now your table. Going
Sit
back
next to a fucking frog, okay?
Yes, you are. Oh God, what's your passive perception?
15.
15. In the distance, as he's sitting at the table, when he calls out to the barmaid and who's back there, he says, "You will give me an egg." As he appears to have ordered eggs for his meal while he's sitting there. Anyways, turning back to Benjamin Hyde and Keeper. Keeper, you and your good friend Furkick is standing at the front of the table as Benjamin happily waves you up, and he goes,
I
"Yes,
want to point
very
out.
good."
I want to point out that at this point in the interaction, and Zax has arrived at the tavern, Zax is instantly very, very curious and very, very attentive of all of Keeper's movements and how his arms and appendages articulate.
Am I wearing my robe and mask?
You
Yeah,
are
I
indeed.
normally- Yeah, I'm wearing a full hooded cloak and a porcelain mask, so you wouldn't be able to see. Unless you were just looked under the robe and noticed my feet, but you wouldn't really be able to see my limbs or my joints.
As
noted.
people are kind of milling about in that area, and it's really just Keeper and Furkick that are standing at the front of the desk. Sheskar, if you want, you can say that Zax absolutely just sort of walks right up next to them and looks, sort of gives them very curious appraising sort of.
I'll make a check for that first, just in case, just so to see if I actually do see that.
Yeah, roll perception. 20.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, no, you definitely get a good look at him. He's got that hooded robe on, so a lot of his particular features are occluded with the mask and the robes. But with a 20 in perception, you definitely do get a good look at his hands and his feet and the other parts of him that are sort of poking out from the robes themselves.
I am instantly not enamored, but very, very curiously watching how they articulate and how they move.
Sorry.
That's the picture that Spoots linked to the chat, and that is, I feel like, a resting mood for N. Fuck.
Hey, somebody said that N's basically Yellow Diamond, and then I had to watch the rest of Steven Universe to agree.
There it is. Right, so, back at the table, Keeper, you and Furkick are standing in front of Benjamin, and he goes, right, so, are you interested in our tournament?
Indeed, yes. We have come from the monastery to sign up for your tests.
Good, good. And he takes out a form, and he kind of looks at both of you, and he goes over things. He goes, now, one of the ways that we are typically going to be doing this is that you two, and he points to the two of you, will be separated. You'll be put onto different teams so as to foster sort of a growth between different peoples and cultures within the kingdom. Yes? Is that agreeable?
I kind of twitch my antennas worryingly for a bit, and I turn to Furkick. And I'm going to speak to him with telepathy, quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Separated. Furkick, do you think you will be able to handle this?
He looks up at you with a look of worry, but sort of twitches his antennas and communicates back.
What do you think? Do you think I could make it?
I'm not sure, honestly. You might not be... One should always be best to know the boundaries of one's strength and one's limits, especially when adventure, in unknown lands and unforeseen situations.
He sort of, frowns and nods in thought, and goes,
I would like to try.
Excellent. I very much would like to see you succeed, and I know that you're capable of many great things. But it is important to know your own limits and act within them. Don't overreach yourself. Don't get hurt.
He, gives a sort of a fortifying look on his face, nods to you, and then turns to Benjamin and goes,
We are Keeper. We will do this.
and
Yeah,
Benjamin
I
Good,
smile.
all right.
I'm glad and I'm heartened to see his Furkick's resolve, and it brings a warmth to me as I turn and I nod, politely and solemnly at Benjamin.
He goes, all right, and sort of in a deft motion with one of his hands, he sort of turns the one form that he's filling out for you into two, as he sort of slides them apart and starts filling the two of them out simultaneously, and then turns them towards you guys and hands each of you an ink-dipped quill and goes, just sign your names, whatever those might be, here, and just leave whatever signature that you consider to be appropriate to your people at the bottom, and we'll get you squared away.
Are all the different types of challenges located on the forms? Are we signing up for specific individual ones, or just for everything?
The form itself is mostly sort of an agreement and a waiver that these challenges may be dangerous, but that you will not be in any serious mortal danger. That if you were to become seriously injured or killed, that they do have people on standby who will be able to help you, just as long as you agree to the damages up front, as well as that the specific details of these challenges are present to you should you ask about them, and that when you enter this thing, you will simply be placed within the arena, and each of the challenges will be presented to the group, and then you guys will sort of have an opportunity to step up and show your skills as you see fit.
Okay, excellent. So now that I have a basic understanding of how the, of just how it's going to work, does he have a writing implement?
Yeah, he's handed you an ink-dipped quill.
Handed me a quill? Okay, I try and awkwardly clench it between my claws and and I press the tip of the quill to the paper, and then I think to myself, crap, what am I supposed to sign? Well, and then in common, I write Keeper.
All right.
With
Furkick next to you sort of watches you do this, and then also tries to write in Keeper in common, though it's considerably messier than yours. It's almost illegible. But then puts like a little X at the end, and hands the quill back to Benjamin, and he goes, quite good, yes, excellent. All right. And he looks at the two of them, he goes, good, puts them on the finished paper stack on his one side, points to you, Keeper, and goes, so you will be sitting over there, and he points over to where Floop is, and then pointing at Furkick, he goes, and you will be, I'm going to say, with them, and he points to another table that has a lizard person and a goblin sitting at it. Looking really nervous, Furkick sort of like instinctively puts his hands together in a very sort of like mantis style thing in front of himself, but one of the goblins waves really happily and goes, oh, hi! And he sort of trots over to their table and sits down.
Before he does, I kind of notice his nervousness, and I want to put one hand on each of his shoulders in a reassuring way, and just kind of talk to him again with telepathy. Remember, brother, you can do this. Use the different strengths of the varying races are our strengths if we use them well. We are here to learn. Now, the Master sent us out here to absorb as much knowledge as we can, wisdom, and I know that the outside world can be scary, but trust in your teammates, trust in yourself, and you'll be fine.
He nods to you reassuredly. Says,
I will do my best to keep your wisdom in mind.
And remember to keep the wisdom of the Masters in mind as well.
he smiles and nods.
Of course.
Okay, so I smile and I nod, and I just kind of give him a pat on the back, just kind of send him over to his team.
Smiling, he nervously sort of trots over and sits down on a little stool, and the lizard people, or the lizard person and the goblin sort of open conversations, sort of like shaking hands with him, and start talking as you make your way over to your table. Stepping up is now Zax.
I am watching like which order people are sitting in chairs and stuff like that. What tables all of the sign up people are, like being ordered to sit in.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I've still just been so enthralled with like the articulation of Keeper's hands that I almost don't recognize that he's walked off and I'm at the beginning of the queue. So I sort of jump a little bit and realize, oh, okay, it's my turn now, and then I walk up.
As you're looking, Benjamin's like, just to get your attention, he goes, yes, would you like to sign up for the tournament?
Yes, that's why I'm here.
Wonderful. So you understand that this tournament will have games of riddles, and speed, subterfuge, and growth, and of course, combat in its many forms.
What if I sign up? Am I signing up to all of it or just the one?
If you so choose, each of the individuals will be placed within the arena in a large group. We encourage you, of course, to stay within the groups to which we assign at your tables, and then each challenge will be presented to you as sort of a mob, and any members of your group may, of course, step forward and approach each challenge as they see fit.
Okay, so it's a group thing. He's just kind of muttering to himself at the moment, and looks back up. Yes, join.
Quite good. And he quickly fills out one of the forms and slides it over to you with a quill and ink.
Okay. So he kind of gives it a little bit of a once-over, just making sure that there's no, like, little, like, grandpa claws or little things, because he hasn't really met this skeleton yet, and it seems kind of very showmanship, so he's a little bit wary.
Yeah, it is certainly strange. Throughout the city, you've definitely seen greater skeletons and different forms of greater undead, like ghosts and revenants. But they are usually dressed in sort of a higher society wear, but none quite so ostentatious as Benjamin Hyde, as he is commonly found with his little cane that he has, as well as like his top hat and his curiously attached mustache and a monocle.
So as soon as I make sure that there's no secret between the lines writing in the sign up, then I put down in.
Roll me insight.
Insight.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, it looks good.
Contract looked good.
So giving it a good nod, I write in not in a haphazard script, but in a better script than you would expect from a goblin.
Yeah.
Zax Treyar, and with a comma from Par's Parts.
Aw. As you hand the form back to Benjamin, he reads it over and goes, "Oh, good. Yes, you're sponsored. I see. That's quite good." He sort of turns the paper over and puts it in. And he goes, "Yes. So you will be sitting. I'm going to say right here." And he points to the table that has now Floopkeeper and N sitting at it.
So he turns to the table and kind of eyes the rather large snake there that seems to be gloomily looking around, and kind of
menacing.
Oh, I definitely watched this fucking goblin come up to my table.
So he kind of eyes the snake as he makes his way over. Gives a nod to the dapper skeleton and makes his way over to the table with his backpack.
He politely tips his top hat back to you. And to answer your question, Spoots, looking around the room and trying to get a feel for how Benjamin is doing this, old Benji, he's like any group of people that come up to his table that are of a similar race or from the same tribe, he splits them up. But individuals who approach who are alone, he will try to find a table that is either entirely open or doesn't yet include a member of their species, and then will assign them to that. You can see around the room there is actually one or two other grung, though they are of the either the red or the golden guard status, some of them carrying swords quite large for their people, which would be like a regular medium sword for people.
And Keeper's friend, the other Thrycreen, is at a different table. Floop's friend that is at a different table.
Yeah, the two grung that came in with Floop exited once they got to the table. They didn't sign any forms, and they went up to the bar and are now curiously attempting to eat some stew out of some bowls that they've been given. The larger of the two of them, the one known as Roosh, is sort of dabbing some of the spilled stew off of the side of Floosh's mouth. And the two orcs are also sitting there having a drink together.
All right then.
Do you have to make a roll for Floosh not to choke on the stew?
Sometimes. Here's the thing. Every scene that has Floosh in it, I, on my side, make a roll every now and then to see if he just fucks up. And so far, he's been doing pretty good. Ty goes to the defender, so he is eating his soup, but he's not making a mess or knocking things over.
It's perfect.
Yet. I was gonna say he's managing, but that is a very apt word for him in the moment. He is managing.
So how thick is this lineup of people still trying to sign up? Is it still out the door?
There is, it's not going out the door. There is definitely some space between the door and the small crowd of people that are there. But there's about a dozen or so patrons still kind of milling about in that space. Each of them a little nervous, obviously, to step up to the table next. After a moment or two, Benjamin does eventually call the next person up to the table and starts filing them out. But through the rest of the time in the tavern, he does not assign anyone else to your table.
So when I notice that, that this table's basically full, I look around to the group and I ask, "What are you all good at?"
Whenever she asks that, Floosh kind of recoils herself a bit and start to hold in nervous croaks.
Zax turns to the big snake and says, "I'm good at a fair amount of things," and then turns to Keeper and is like, "You!" and points for a moment before like taking off his backpack and setting it down on the bench next to him, and he just stands up on the bench. Can I see your hand?
I kind of turn my hooded head to look at him and stare at him through the seemingly empty black circles in my white porcelain mask, and I stare at him for a couple seconds, and then I hold out my hand in a palm facing the ceiling in an open hand gesture.
I take a few minutes, kind of like poking at the hand and like moving some of the fingers a little bit, and then nodding to myself and like looking at the back end of it, and then letting go and giving him a smile and a nod.
I kind of give him a slight but firm nod, but still silent, and then I turn my face back to the large snake woman, and I say to her, I am fast.
So that's one answer.
Can I also once I answer that, I want to also just scan and keep an eye out for is Gashar and with Terthar, have they signed up?
No.
No?
They did come with you, but the two of them have just moved up to the bar, and they're sharing drinks together.
They're just hanging up? Okay. I also want to flag down a waiter, waitress, and order a drink for myself.
What's everyone's passive perception?
15.
17.
13.
16.
16, okay. That's everybody's passive perception. So, Keeper, you're the first to notice that the only empty stool at your table is suddenly filled. As you were talking to each other, a baby rock troll has now sort of made its way over to your table and is curiously sitting in that stool. It sits at just a bit bigger in terms of its girth and size than Floop. It has one of its hands on the table, and it looks around to everybody who's at the table and goes, "Bah."
In a show of complete ignorance of the capabilities of the rest of the party, I say to the rock troll baby, "And what are you good at?"
The baby looks up at you and goes, and blows a little bubble. The waitress.
Do I recognize this baby troll since I'm familiar with the tavern owners?
This is indeed the baby of the two owners of the tavern. Gray is owned by two rock trolls, one of which is named Kaldaka, the other Willow. And their baby seems to have made its way over to your table sneakily. The Willow, though, quickly sort of darts out from behind the bar, scoots over to your thing and scoops the baby up and goes, Sorry. Yes, can I get you anything to drink or to eat? Anyone here?
Zax immediately puts up his hand, still standing on the bench, and says, "I would like a bowl of stew, please."
That's one bowl of stew. Anyone else?
I guess I can try it.
Okay.
What meats do you have?
Good meat.
Do you have anything that doesn't have meat?
She looks down at you and goes, yeah, we have bread. I get you
Bread
some
will
bread.
do.
Yeah, okay.
Bread will. And 2 flagons of ale, please.
Of course. Oh, do you want any of the screech?
Yes, please. How much do you? What are your supplies like?
I've got a few bottles here.
Still have plenty? You know I can't say no.
She's goes,
maybe just one bottle. Maybe just a little.
Okay, good. And then she looks up at N and goes, "Oh, what about you, ma'am?"
A large amount of good meat.
I'll bring you our best. She sort of trots off with the baby. You see her go behind the bar and then just stick the baby down in a large metal pot, and then lift the pot and hang it on a hook from the ceiling. So now the baby is sort of just up there, and it just keeps looking around the room.
And seems a little bit more confident in the team that it's not got this baby.
Our team has a baby. This is not good.
To be fair,
Uh,
she doesn't know anything about any of them, so
Well, yeah.
To be
have a
fair,
lot.
there's a good chance the baby is older than I am.
It's possible. Well, actually,
And
no.
that's
yeah.
Depending on what the lifespan of rock trolls is, if they have really long lifespans, there's a chance that that baby is older than I am.
Not terribly not terribly long. Not
okay.
maybe more than 60. Not maybe more than 60 years.
Okay.
Depending. So.
Yeah, that might be. Oh,
Okay, that about yeah.
About
That's
20.
that's average. It's about average human lifespan, so that would be about the same as average, like human baby. That's definitely not 7. If your kid's 7 and acting like a baby,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. After.
On this,
Oh, please go ahead.
on this, Floop just looks at Keeper. Oh, so that's where I saw you before. You're one of these monks that makes booze out of our poison.
yes. Do I recognize Floop specifically? Like, does
you know what? Yeah.
is Floop involved with the trade? Like, does Floop do the trades and stuff?
I'm gonna say off the top of my head, Floop is not directly involved with supplying the poisons to you guys, as the poisons that are often supplied are given by their lower class members, so the green grung amongst their tribes. You would recognize her, though, as you would have seen her in the villages as you guys have come down to make the trade. And it's possible that you may have even gathered poison from the 2 grung that are sitting at the bar, one of whom is pitifully trying to eat stew.
Well, when I recognize Floop, I kind of smile to myself and I take off my mask and set it down in my lap, and then I reach up and I pull my hood back, and I kind of shake my antenna loose and I look over at her and say to her, "Ah, yes, I believe I've seen you around a couple times."
Zax immediately takes attention to the antenna and like studies them.
I've only gone to your village a couple times on trade, but I do recall seeing you around.
Oh, that's good. And she is instantly less nervous about the big snake.
Because she knows that us monks are good guys.
Yeah. Everyone who's at the table who knows of those monks would know them to be peaceful people. That, like, when you see one of these people on the road, you can be rest assured that they're not going to try to rob you, and that they are helpful and capable individuals.
Yeah,
the
you all know that.
capability is what gives my character a bit more confidence.
Roll me intelligence, Spoots. 19. The things you know of their monastery is that when each of them do come down, they adopt the same name, Keeper. And you know that they are good people. They do make, like, attempts to quietly assist people in small matters whenever they can. Larger things they will usually excuse themselves from, as it not being necessarily their business. And you know of at least one occasion, the loose details of a time somebody attempted to not necessarily rob, but take advantage of their kindness. And the only information you have regarding that is that it turned out very poorly for those people. That those people required a great deal of recovery time in an infirmary.
Good. Good. So then your name must be Keeper.
Indeed, I am Keeper.
As is your friend over there. And I
Yes, they
gesture
are
to the
Keeper
other
as well.
part. They are both Keeper?
We are all Keeper.
I see.
Well, it makes things simple.
Simplicity is often the road to enlightenment. By keeping an open mind and an open soul, there is endless possibility.
What parts of the tournament have you each signed up for?
I don't think you sign up for a particular part. They just sort of lump you in the group, and whoever that goes.
It was my
I
understanding that we would be
never-
all taking part in all of them.
That would make things easier.
Lex turns his attention away from the antennas and looks around to see if his stew's on his way yet.
In a moment or two, Willow returns to your table with a large platter. She puts a stew down in front of the goblin. She puts another one down in front of Floop. There is like some strangely fresh, like warm, moist bread that she puts down on a plate in front of Keeper. And then she takes like a little cutting board that has a knife still on the side of it, and a large, like still bloody slab of meat that's on it, places that on the table in front of you. Then she puts down a jug of ale and a few empty cups and a little stack of like about 4 shot glasses and 1 half-empty bottle of Thrycreen Screech. Then makes her way back behind the bar.
I smile as I see. I smile and perk up as I see the Screech arrive.
Zach kind of winces seeing the Screech.
That's fair.
That's rough.
I quickly grab snatch up the bottle and pour 4 of the little shot glasses of the Screech and then I like reach out and I set carefully 1 shot glass in front of End, 1 in front of Floop, and 1 in front of Zax, and then I pour 1 for myself.
I look down at the glass and ask, "What's in this?"
Down at the shot glass and winces again.
Floop just kind of like raises her hand like in school.
I look down at Kate.
It's fermented grung poison.
Is that all that's in it?
Probably
No,
other
that is one
gold stuff.
that is merely 1 ingredient, but it is fermented. It is distilled using a variety of different cave molds, different insect and bug excretions and extracts. You can't forget ambergris, as well as effervescent water. It's a very complicated alchemical process.
Zax lowers his face to the table and kind of pokes at the shot glass a little bit, and then looks up at the Keeper and asks,
Is it poisonous?
It was, but it is no longer poisonous in the conventional sense.
Floop just picks up her glass and looks at Zax. It's not poisonous, but I remember that it hits like a bitch.
Okay, well, I pick up the glass and like my tongue flicks out at it, kind of smelling it.
From across the room, as you pick up your glass and you're flicking your tongue at it, and you're sort of like, has N ever tried Thrycreen Screech before?
There is a distinct possibility because, as a carnivorous being, I would not be able to ingest plant-based material. So my limit to alcohols would be those that are protein-based.
Yeah. You are, as you're holding this glass, and you're sort of inspecting it and like smelling it and whatnot, you look across the room, and your brother also has a fucking shot glass of this, and he's looking you dead in the fucking eye, and he takes his shot and puts the glass on the table.
I smile at him. I'll do the same.
Awesome. Roll me a Constitution save with advantage, because you are immune to poison, so alcohol has less of an effect on you, even if it is this crazy bullshit.
Oof.
Yikes.
Okay. You maintain consciousness. You take this shot. You like. Do you like? How do you put the glass down on the table?
Gently.
Yeah. I'm gonna say roll me. Like, do you try to like maintain your sort of like your posture and everything?
Of course I do.
Roll me performance. Fuck yeah. So you feel it. This stuff is awful. It tastes.
Thank you, background.
It tastes like paint thinner's uglier dad. So, like, it is truly horrifying what you've drank. But you do remember it being this bad. You absolutely maintain your consciousness. You place the shot glass down on the table with elegance. You maintain your posture and composure. You're looking good. Does anybody else take a drink of this stuff?
As I see N first take her shot first, I kind of smile and like to myself and like, yes, good, excellent. They did it. Like,
Nice.
Wonderful.
Yeah. You as N, you take your shot and put it on the table, like looking with your composure. Your size has definitely made you noticeable to some of the other patrons in the establishment. You hear at least one lizard person from one of the other tables go, "Yeah!" And then that gets the attention of the orcish monk, who also has been with you guys, and she looks over at Gushar, and she's just like, "Woo!" and like puts up a drink at you guys, and then goes back to talking with her partner.
When somebody orders this stuff, people fucking notice, and they're like, "Oh."
Yeah, they're like, "Yeah."
All right, Floop.
Nice.
What's up?
Yeah, how do you roll Constitution with advantage?
I have my sheet to automatically roll both just in case, so that we just pick the left one if it's regular, or we pick the highest or lowest if it's advantage or disadvantage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's an option on your sheet to always roll the advantage.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it's gonna hit me very, very hard.
Go for it. Whoa, no. But you roll with advantage though, because you are immune to poison. So 16 is good. Sorry, I was looking at the 9 and I was like, but no, you managed to knock this stuff back. It tastes familiar, but foreign at the same time. Like, it's definitely got like a lot of hints of like the swampy homeness, but also there's like a dusty kind of feel in there, like a smoky after flavor that you're not familiar with, and it's definitely really opens up your lungs a bit as you take that in. Like, it's got like a powerful aftertaste in your mouth, but you're good. Yeah, you managed to take it. You're hanging in there.
Yeah, brings me more joy when I see Floop down the shot.
So
Wonderful.
I strictly look at Flouche and Rouge.
Yeah, they're still managing their stew. Flouche, unfortunately, is having some trouble letting go of the spoon that he's using. It's stuck to his hand, and he's kind of like wiggling his hand around a little bit, like, "Oh, gee, it's real sticky." But as you do down your shot, though, another patron in the bar takes notice. It's a very large minotaur with a big iron ring in its nose, sitting at one of the tables. Raises a few of the other people at his table, like, point and say things to him, and then he looks over and goes like, "Oh," and like raises his big fucking tankard of meat and goes, "Nice," at you guys over at that side. No, Kira, that's not Marduk. For the people that play with the B team, this is Iron Ring, one of the people that was rescued recently.
So, seeing the other two people take the shot, I kind of eyed my shot for another couple seconds, and then like take it, and I'm still standing on the stool at this point.
Yeah.
And just sort of eyeball them, take it back. And
Awesome.
This is not going to be very good, considering I am the only one here that's not immune to poison.
Yeah, roll me a Constitution save there, bud.
Oh,
Fuck! A fucking course! A fucking course! Yeah, you knock this shit back. God, it reminds you of some of the fucking accelerants and fuels that you've seen around Par's shop when you were in your much more, like, a younger, curiouser phase of artificing. You might have drank a few of those things and nearly killed yourself. This, by comparison, is not so bad. So you managed to get the shot back, and you're okay.
Excellent.
I put the shot glass down, like, kind of, not licking my lips, but, like, trying to clear my palate of that with my teeth, and saying, not my cup of tea.
All right,
I just imagine the rest of the people just looking at themselves and, hey, if the goblin and the frog can do it, we can do it, and it turns into a fucking disaster.
Well, we'll see how Keeper does.
Well, all right. Well, after seeing Zax toss back his shot glass, I kind of smiled at myself, excellent, like, and reassure myself, excellent. I've been placed with teammates who are courageous and who are, like, you know what I mean? Who are brave and who are willing to take risks, right? This was kind of like So I kind of raised my glass in respect and as a silent toast to each of them. Like, I raised it up to N, give her a nod. Raise it up to Floop, give Floop a nod. Raise the glass up to Zax, give it a nod, and then I toss the shot back.
All right, roll me Constitution save.
With advantage because he's immune to poison.
He's not immune to poison.
I'm not immune to poison yet, but I should still have advantage considering the fact that we brew this stuff. Like, we drink it all the time.
Oh yeah,
But-
you do drink this stuff often. You do
No,
not have
Constitution roll?
advantage.
No.
It is a Constitution
saving throw.
Oh,
Oh, it's a
I rolled
Constitution saving throw. Okay, yeah, you just rolled Constitution. You rolled a saving throw. Okay.
Clicked the wrong thing first.
Thank
14.
fuck. Because I was like, oh no, it's 5. That's not good, my man. With a 14, you knock this shit back, and just that familiar warmth fills your body from drinking this. The Thrycreen Screech, as they call it down here, this booze that you guys have developed, it is such a nostalgic and a familiar flavor of home for you, and just that wonderful, like, juicy feeling of being, like, comfortable and warm definitely fills you in.
Yes, the warmth and flavor of a dumpster fire.
This is somebody set fire to an old oily pile of rags.
Once the shot is down, I gently tap the glass down on the table.
Nice.
Yeah, and then just
After that, I take a spoonful of my stew, nod a moment for the nice clearing of the palate, and then I wave the gloved hand that has the 8-pointed star on the back of it over it, and there's a little bit of a glow above the stew. And then I take another bite, and I seem to be enjoying it much more.
Yeah, everybody's food's shown up.
Yeah, everyone's food's there.
yeah,
It
they
was,
cut
it was
your
all
meat,
brought
they
out
brought
with
the
the
bread.
booze.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
they cut
once
the
we've had our
meat.
drinks, I start eating my bread.
For Spoots, you specifically, roll me intelligence as you eat the meat. This is really good meat.
This is really neat.
You are unsure how they've managed to get a fresh slab of fucking beef loin in the kingdom, but this is good shit. Like,
Is it cooked? Is it raw? Is it what?
it is raw meat.
Oh,
Yeah, it is bloody on the thing, though. There is like a rub in the meat, like some like a little bit of salt and some seasoning was rubbed into the top of it.
I kind of
Well,
turn
I-
my nose up when I see it, when I like looking at the meat. Just not my thing.
I cut it up and I put it in my mouth, and people may or may not notice that I don't chew, and I just swallow large slices of meat.
Nice.
Yeah.
On her hand, Flute, upon seeing having issues with his spoon, she just decides to take the bowl and drink from it instead of struggling with the spoon and her sticky hands.
Sorry, Plinthor put something really funny in the chat. The taste of the Thri-Kreen Screech is said to bring back warm memories of your first grease fire out back of a sleazy McDonald's in the wrong part of town.
Perfect.
Yeah.
An apt description.
And I'm pretty sure there's a kind of sketchy gas station nearby too, so you can smell that.
Gas station in quotation marks. The lights are never on, but there's always people there.
And you're not sure if you want to borrow their bathroom or not.
People stop for gas, but then don't leave their car and just keep driving. What's my brother up to?
You see him at the bar. There is a single hard-boiled egg. Somehow, it has been prepared by the colossal hands of Keldaka the Troll. And it's in one of those, like, little porcelain egg holders. And it is, like, sitting daintily on the table, and he's got, like, a silver spoon on a little plate next to it. And it's been cracked open. And he is enjoying this egg with the utmost, like, class and air of nobility. Roll me insight. Yeah, he's just eating it. He's just eating his egg. You think you might have caught, as you're glancing at him across the room, one of his eyes turning over to look at you. But you're pretty sure it was nothing. Yeah, he demanded an egg, he got an egg.
So, as Zach kind of plops down into his stool after taking like a nice big spoonful of stew. So, we've got Speedy, and points over to Keeper. Did either of you have a mount?
No.
Nope.
I have no need for mounts. Mounts would only slow me down.
Oh, well, I've got a mount, so I can definitely do that.
And you do magic?
Well, that too. I do things with things, and I reach over and I poke at the empty shot glass in front of me, and it starts to emit like a lantern's worth of light.
I squint my eyes.
KC, the stew as you're eating it is surprisingly good. Definitely a lot warmer than the food you're used to back home.
I enjoy it a lot, and I keep on eating. Desperately hoping that the snake will not try to poke me out of my bubble because she scares me.
Are you actually in a bubble? Or just, it's like in my space?
It's a space bubble. She didn't use her bucket yet, but she's about to ask.
And what do you do? And I look directly down at the frog.
On this, I'm gonna. What do I roll if I don't want to choke on my stew out of nervousness?
Performance, I'd say.
Okay.
Performance or just like
Oh dear.
Constitution? Yeah, you know what? Let's say Constitution. Let's say Constitution for no reason. Roll a Constitution save. Oh, somehow it was worse.
Somehow it's worse.
You don't die eating your soup. Your mouths are definitely a lot bigger. You don't need to chew like the bits of potato and vegetables and cooked meat that are in there. You just kind of like spoon it into your mouth and like bah, 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 bah. So it's not gonna choke you, but you do definitely cough a little bit as you try to speak, forgetting that there's still some stew in your mouth.
I make plants grow and I heal people, maybe. And she just shrinks on her stool and sits a bit closer to Keeper.
Frogs are in fact mostly stomach and mouth.
And for the rest of the group's information, I am proficient in melee combat and magic.
Ooh, what? Hold on. Yeah.
What type of melee combat?
Sword and shield.
How do you fight? What's your style? Which form do you use? Who's your master? Who taught you?
I glare at Keeper.
I don't register her glare. I'm
The
too
people of
in.
my temple taught me over the course of 40 years.
Yeah, how would you like to say that you learned the art in which you fight? Like, would you like to say that it was definitely like something perhaps that the other abominations would have taught you, and certain pureblood servants would have taught you as well as like a part of your noble education growing up?
Yeah, it would have been other abominations teaching me how to fight, usually against other purebloods at first, and then increasing with my skill up to abominations as well.
Fascinating. Serpent style. Is this a form passed down from your people? Is this an ancient form developed by your people long ago?
Oh, I didn't say that out loud. I was talking to the DM.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
But
right.
yeah.
Then in that case, I'm still waiting for your response.
I was taught in the only way that I've ever known. There is only one style of combat that I have been taught. It's very much tactical, but very also involves grappling.
Fascinating.
As you can see, I am very equipped to hold somebody down.
Very interesting. Using your large frame and your unique physiology to your advantage. Excellent.
Zach's looking back and forth between these two. Would take a moment break from his stew and say, do we know if the combat part of it is group combat or singular?
I was under the impression that it was singular combat until you fellows informed me that it was likely each individual groups against other groups or trials.
Let me ask. So I get up on my stool and I turn back to the Japper skeleton, waving my hands in the air and shouting it over to him. Oi! Hey, is the combat part of it, is that a group or single?
Looking towards you away from a lizard folk that he's currently in the process of signing up, he nods his head and says, yes, both.
Okay, so I turn back to my table and say, okay, well, there's the answer.
Yes, have some.
It would be wise for us to be as adaptable as possible.
And how well will this fellow be decent at fighting single combat? And I motion to Floop.
I mean, I never fought before, really. I'm a healer.
And what happens if they put you up against somebody like me?
I'd shit my pants, but I'll try to survive.
I'm a little taken aback at their at the language used, but I say nothing.
Oh,
Wow, this they're so direct with their words.
She takes a few seconds. I would probably just transform into a bear and slash.
I look up at and say, well, considering I'm the only one out of our little group that actually has a mount, I don't think that all of us will need to compete in all of them.
And you say...
What is classified as a mount?
A mount is like something in addition to you that you ride on top of.
Oh, so if the grung holds onto my back, We could compete.
That might actually work.
Yeah, I would be tempted to try.
But I think he'd have the final say in that. I point a thumb over at the mustached skeleton.
Well, we won't know until we try. You can remember, creativity is often an asset in combat, or in any trials, really. If they can't prepare for us adapting and interpreting things, then that's on them.
Floop just bumps her chest a bit proudly.
Oh,
The more we can show how adaptable and creative we are, the more varying array of tasks we'll be able to complete successfully.
I go back to eating my
Good.
bread.
Do we know when this tournament is going to take place?
I was told it would take place tomorrow.
Yes.
And why
I
do we know why
apologize.
we are still sitting at this table then?
I
Zach-
imagine
Zach-
the more time we spend getting comfortable
Zach-
with each other, the better.
Zach's kind of like thinks about this for a second, hops off his stool, and walks over to the skeleton again. Hey, do we have to stick around here, or what's going on?
Nodding down to you, he says, "You may stay as long as you like. This is moreover for people to sign up, learn more information about tomorrow's event, and to get to know one another."
Okay, so when's the event? Like, can we go home and prep for tomorrow?
I would highly recommend that you do so. Tomorrow's event will happen at noon.
Okay, all right, good. And he gives him a good thumbs up and turns back to trots over to his table.
He
Okay.
smiles and nods down at you as you go.
Okay, so it's happening tomorrow at noon, and we don't have to stick around for at least for now. This is apparently like a meet and greet type thing.
And what are all of your names?
I'm Zax.
I am Keeper.
And I'm Floop.
And Zach. I'm going by my title. You can call me Vrail or Vrail Ola.
Okay.
Rail.
And I also
I
specifically
try and make a V sound with my mouth
actual
parts,
name.
and it doesn't quite work.
I specifically left out my actual name on the list so that they would have no choice but to call me the greatest bitch that ever lived in Yuanti.
Well, yeah, in the in the Yuan-Ti sort of like language and culture, Vrail Olo means the favored ones. So like the chosen few or nobility. It would be like signing a piece of paper and asking everybody to refer to you as my lady. Only more so.
Yeah.
I take the time to pour myself like a tankard of ale, and I drink it while I finish my bread.
Flip is just gonna finish hers too quietly, and then she's just gonna waddle towards the bar and wave at one of the waiters.
Mm-hmm.
I have a special request.
Willow sort of looks down over the bar at you and goes, "Yeah."
She grabs her collapsible bucket.
Yeah.
My kind needs to be submerged in water after a certain amount of time. I have my bucket. Could you fill it with water, please?
She smiles down at you and goes, "Of course!" Takes the bucket, sort of like gingerly unfolds it into an open position, and then scoops up some water from a nearby, not like a tankard or another bucket, but just like a large container, and then hands it down to you.
Thank you. And she just waddles her way back to her table and plops into her bucket.
Oops, in her bucket.
Surprised for a moment, but now that makes sense.
Just like, oh yeah.
Huh. Well, are you guys staying in the city for the tournament?
It is still a long way back for me to the monastery, so I will be I will be seeking out a calm little corner somewhere where I will meditate for the night.
I
do
would
not-
probably stay there too.
Might as well stick together, get to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
I say beleaguered.
There are rooms available in an adjoining building. Not necessarily above the current space here, but sort of in an attached structure to one side.
So I go up to the bar, and I'm about to speak to the barmaid, but I turn back. All right, 1 room or 4?
I do not require sleep. I do not require a room. I will stay wherever I am welcome.
I shrug.
Floop also shrugs because she can sleep in her bucket for all she cares.
So Zex turns back to the bar and says, "Hey, how big are the rooms?"
Willow looking down at you and then looking over at everybody at the table goes, "Big enough."
Big enough. Big enough. And
Yeah.
he sort of mulls it over in his head, and it's like, "We'll probably need 1 room."
Okay. She fishes around behind the counter and gets out a key and a number that says D2, and she hands it over to you. There's like a little wooden plaque with the D2 burned into it attached to the
Watch
key.
my brother while this is happening.
And smart. As she hands you the key, she goes, "Your tab altogether will be a gold."
Okay.
Yeah, I got this. And he pulls out he reaches into one of his belt pouches and pulls out a gold and sets it down on the bar.
Okay. She smiles, takes a gold piece, and then goes back to doing stuff. Spoots, roll me. Would you rather do insight or perception? Actually, insight.
Perception.
If you're trying to see if he's watching you or paying attention to what's going on there, that would be an insight.
Okay. Fuck.
He is absolutely sitting there. He appears to be minding his own business.
Fuck. Fair enough.
On her side, Floop might just like flop out of her bucket for a few minutes, and she's gonna walk to Floosh and Rouge to inform them that she's gonna stay over the night for the battle and the activities.
They nod back and go, "Yeah, we're probably gonna head back to the village, and we'll see you in the tournament tomorrow."
Yeah, you both be careful, okay, Floosh?
Oh, okay. Floosh is still attempting to get the spoon unmoored from his hand, to which Willow just leans down and goes, "You can just keep it, it's fine." And he goes, "Oh, thank you!" And then, like, hops down off the stool, and the two of them floppily make their way out the door.
And I return to my bucket.
On a piece of paper, I start writing. I write out the description of my brother, and I write to be wary of this person.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that he's my brother, and then I just slide it across the table into the middle for everybody to look.
Okay, I look at it.
It's like, there is a person sitting at the bar. He looks like this. That is my brother. He is not to be trusted. He is dangerous.
I look down. I look at the picture, and then I look up at the bar, and then down at the picture, and then up at the bar, and very, very subtly, I indicate with my antenna towards who I think is the person she's indicating, and I'm like, kind of
like a boink boink, like point over at him.
And then I speak to Braille using my telepathy, saying, him?
If you were looking at him, then yes. Like I just nod ever so slightly.
Okay. Noted. I will keep an eye on it.
I kind of look at the sheet and then, like, not, like, I'm not trying to be subtle about it or anything like that. I just sort of, like, turn, because I'm still, like, standing by the table. I just kind of turn around and take a look at it and then take a look back at the
Jesus fucking Christ.
This is your team. This is a team of people that you are with.
Bring the baby. I'm gonna add this baby back to the team.
You're gonna bring back the baby. The baby is still hanging in its pot in the kitchen, blowing bubbles.
I look up at Rail and kind of stick my thumb out at the guy without saying anything.
Sweet.
Fruit just grabs the paper and writes on it and slides it back to her very discreetly. And it's saying, I kind of noticed with the amount of sass he had, but I don't think the discretion will work with these two. And she just gestures towards Keeper and Zax.
I'm just doing my best.
I pick up the piece of paper and it just fucking bursts into flames.
Immediate anxious croaking ensues.
Can I look around and see how Furkik, Gashar, and Turthar are doing?
Yeah, over at the bar, you see Gashar and Turthar are, like, definitely getting into their teacups a little bit, with the ale that they're sharing, and there appears to be, like, sort of a charcuterie board has been placed in between the two of them with, like, bits of meat and cheese and bread that they've been working their way through. They are having an absolutely wonderful time, just talking to each other. You know that they don't get to see each other that often, that sometimes it can be weeks before they are able to see each other with the training and the lifestyle that Gashar takes up. Turthar, interestingly enough, at least that you've been able to observe, is very respectful of her choice in lifestyle. So that seems to be working out. They're getting along like a house on fire. Furkik is definitely, like, you can tell by his posture that he is, like, sitting up straight, and he's definitely putting on, like, a very professional face. But you eyeing his lower hands, you can see that he is still a bit nervous, but his upper arms definitely show that he is enjoying himself.
Okay. Good. I'm gonna try and reach out to Gashar and Furkik with my telepathy.
Will you be? I am securing lodging for the night. I will be remaining in the city with my arranged clutch until the competition tomorrow. Will you guys be taken care of?
Without speaking back with telepathy, Gashar sort of turns to you from across the room, holds up a room key, and jingles it.
I nod solemnly and, like, in acceptance as I see it.
Furkik turns just his left antenna in your direction and communicates back to you.
I believe I will be staying with these few in a room, and I will be required to watch them sleep? This will be educational.
Yes, very, very educational. Many of the other races, they require... they just lie down and they seemingly go inert for a period of time.
It seems they hibernate every day for a bit of time. This will take some getting used to. I am learning so much.
Yes, there is very much to learn. I'm glad to hear that you will have a safe lodging. You are going to be taken care of. Remember, you've got this.
Always. May the Seven watch you.
And you as well.
And he turns his antenna back to you. Casey has stepped away from the thing shortly. That's okay. How's everybody doing so far? Everybody doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Basically, I just want, like, I'm at this point, I'm pretty much done with the tavern scene, and I want to get to the next day.
Of course. We can absolutely pull that as soon as Casey gets back, because I don't want to go running through things without her.
I'm going to step away from the keyboard for just a quick second myself as well. And we can say the keeper gets up and quickly just goes to run and talk and say hi to the Kelduck, or the gray trolls.
Sure, yeah, you enjoy a short conversation with them.
Yeah,
In just
I'll be right back.
a brief moment that we've got here, yeah. Apologies for the folks at home. We're just having ourselves a wee moment while some folks use the
I
bathroom.
turned to Zax because his player is still here. And I motioned to the engraving on his shield. Tell me about this group.
The group, like and he looks to the shield on his backpack. You'll notice that the engraving isn't so much an engraving, but something that appears to be like on the wood itself, but kind of still a part of it. Not like paint or anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
She would she would have meant engraving, as in like how texts are often called that.
What this is.
What this?
He looks at the shield. He's like, "Oh, that's I'm an apprentice to an artificer. This is his shop. It's all over, and it's here in the city."
And you are a part of this business?
Yes, like I just said, I'm his apprentice.
So you make things and then you make them magical?
It's more yes and no. Sometimes I make things. Sometimes I just make things that are already there magical, like this thing. And I gesture to the shot glass, which is still currently glowing.
Yes, that is the evidence that I am going by.
Yes. Then yes. The answer is yes.
What kinds of enchantments can you cast on various objects?
Well, I can do stuff like this, and he once again gestures to this glowing shot glass. But I can make it do other things, he for a moment turns to his backpack and kind of rummages around in it. He's like, I can make stuff with other stuff. I have a sack, and he pulls out his sack of a mishmash metal and glass tubes and stuff like that. I can turn this right here and kind of shakes it up and down haphazardly. I can make this into this little contraption that shoots things, and then he sticks it back in his bag. He points at his shield. I can make this a better shield. He raises his walking stick, and I can make this as kind of a thing that helps people cast magic and stuff.
I return from my conversation with the Grace, and I sit down.
All right. KC is back. Okay, cool. All right. So, you guys largely retire for the evening. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. As most of the people are introducing themselves to each other and sort of hobnobbing and getting along with one another, they do eventually make their way off to their respective places. Either they're grabbing other rooms in the adjoined inn, or they just simply head home for the night. That being said, you guys make your way to your own room. You can hear in the distance there's still music and merriment going on. And you find yourselves there for the evening. It's a relatively simple room. It has a bed really for a medium-sized person, and then a collection of pillows and other sort of soft things that can be made into makeshift beds for people that are either larger or smaller and wish to sleep on the floor or some other space.
Well, since I don't require sleep, I can take I'll take a position closer to the door and kind of keep watch while I go into my torpor state for the day.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure that I keep Floop and Floop's bucket kind of close, where I can kind of watch and make sure that Floop is within arm's reach, just in case anything happens.
Okay. Floop, you know that when you get inside your bucket with water to sleep, that you can like sort of nestle into it in such a way and fall asleep with just like the tip of your nose poking out of the water very comfortably.
That's exactly what I'll do, and the tiny little flower will just float on the water. So when she just perks up, it goes back onto her head.
Excellent.
Aw.
Do you take the bed?
Before I do anything, I'm gonna turn to Vrail. So that guy that you were warning us about, do you think he's gonna do anything to us in the night?
As I'm like removing my gear, putting my shield and pack and scimitar in its sheath down on the bed, I passively say over my shoulder to Zax, he is definitely the type of person to be capable of that. And he is absolutely capable of considering that. And then I shapeshift into a pureblood.
Do you believe he would consider something like sabotage?
Absolutely. And my form shifts into more humanoid size, so medium size, and shape. I lose the hood, I lose the scales, I lose the tail. I am bipedal at the moment and still wearing my armor.
Yes, that is something that everybody notices is when she does change from the large Yuan-Ti abomination to the medium-sized pureblood form, the armor simply shifts and changes size with her.
I watched the armor as it changes and kind of smile and said, I'm gonna have to write that down. That's neat.
Yeah, my pureblood form is pale skin, the same eyes, so like the fiery like snake eyes, but I have long slick black hair, and I'm still fairly muscular, but lithe as well, and I just assume that I'm taking the bed.
I see her starting to make the bed more comfortable for her, and I walk over to the bed and I take 2 pillows and one of the sheets. I don't take the bed, but I do take those off of the bed.
There is 1 pillow and 1 sheet remaining on the bed.
I sigh a bit and I accept that.
Cool. Yeah. Yes. Because they're my pillows. I paid for this robe.
My pillows.
I stand up and I remove my large hooded cloak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just sitting.
And I kind of lay it out, I kind of fold it into like a long rectangle, and I kind of look around for a place where I could set it, and I kind of indicate to Zax that like, hey, if you want, you can sleep on this as like something more comfortable.
I kind of see it. And I'm like, still with like this big medium-sized person sheet and 2 pillows kind of like flopped over his head and like carried under each arm, and smile, nod, and waddle over to him while still like half covered in bedclothes. It's like, thank you, and I take it and kind of make myself a makeshift like cat nest worth of the sheet and pillows.
Please try to keep it clean.
I take a look at it. I stammer for a second and take a look over at it, and it doesn't seem like it's dusty or anything.
It's been worn outside, but it's not super dirty, but it would have regular wear from it, like.
From your passive perception, Warden, you like Keeper would be able to absolutely see this is probably the cleanest goblin you've ever seen.
How many goblins have I seen though?
Handful.
Probably
But are they normally dirty? But this one is actually like noticeably clean.
They are normally dirty. He is very clean, even for a citizen of the kingdom.
Oh, okay. Well, wonderful.
He's almost strangely clean.
All right.
Oh, actually. All right. You like them?
All right, we'll do. I'll keep it clean. Don't worry.
I'm the cleanest fucking goblin you've ever met. You have no idea. You've activated my trap card.
It seems like I'm considering the other people in the room for a moment before I decide to take off my own armor.
So after I make my little nest, probably about in one of the corners of the room that isn't close to the bed, I walk over to the door and actually like poke at the doorknob, and make it so that if anybody touches the doorknob, then it actually has the sound of a dinner bell going off.
Oh shit.
That'll be helpful for me.
Yeah, that is one of the things you can do as an artificer.
Yep.
You just touch stuff and make them do things.
Alright.
Someone's gonna get up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom and gonna make a problem for other people.
You all may rest. My species does not require sleep. I will be awake and attentive should anything happen or anyone enter the room.
After actually like doing my little thing on the doorknob, I turn to the rest. I'm like, anybody touches the doorknob, it's gonna ring like ding ding bells, cause of the guy that you were warning us about, and I point at Rail.
I nod to both of them, and I move I still move my stuff from the end of the bed to like the wall, like where the bed meets the wall, and then I lie down with my arms behind my head.
Okay.
And I'm, like, out, considering it.
Yeah, as you guys drift slowly and steadily into sleep, the rest of the evening appears to pass relatively quietly. Now, Keeper is awake and is going to be standing watch. Are you going to use your passive perception, or would you like to roll perception?
Well, it's not like if I do need a little bit of time to go into like a torpor state, like a meditative state. So
you're still aware of your surroundings during that time.
Yeah, correct. I think elves have it too. I'm not.
Probably
Elves also
passive.
do it. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
passive perception at that point then.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go for passive then.
Yeah,
since
you can
it's
only
just...
use your passive during that time. And yeah, if you just want to use your passive for the rest of the evening as well, that's also fine. But you could swear during the time in which you were in a more torpid state, while you were sort of keeping an eye on the space around you, you could swear just outside the window, just out there, You saw something.
For how long? Like, is it still there, or was it just a flicker? Like,
As your sort of your attention turned to the window, you could swear for like a flash of a moment you saw a pair of red glowing eyes staring in through the window. But then it's one of those, like, you see it in the corner of your eyes and then you turn your attention
and then
to
and then
it's
it's gone. Yeah, okay, that's what I was asking. Like, is it sitting there and staring at me as I'm staring back at it, or is it okay? No, it's gone. As I turn and as I turn to see it, and as I notice it, do I have enough time to try and like ping it with my telepathy, like just to see if there's thought there, like.
That's actually very curious, because you look and it's like you see it out of the corner of your eye as you turn your attention to the window. It's gone.
Yeah.
Do you want to reach out to that space with your telepathy to see if you grabbed anything?
Yeah, but it's just, I'm not like saying anything.
Just to see if there's anyone there. You want to reach with.
Yeah, like I just it's like I said, like a ping almost, like just to see if I can establish a connection. Roll
just to see
perception.
If there's anything there.
Yeah, that would totally be perception.
Yeah, that's a
perception.
Roll me perception. 27.
Woo!
Wow. Not 20.
Oh my fucking god. As you turn and look, the eyes are gone. You like immediately sharpen and like launch your senses to that area to see if you can. It's like casting a net to see if there's anything that's in that space. You do get something, but it's gone.
So I get the.
You definitely got like a ping back from something.
But it was, but as soon as I get that ping back, it's gone almost as quickly. Like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Roll me a wisdom save.
Oh no!
Oh no.
You remember in One Punch Man where Saitama was fighting against the android and he told him to take it seriously, and there was that very brief moment where Saitama did take it seriously, and it's just that looming sudden terror of death was present for just a brief moment. That's what you feel. Like, you get a ping from something, and whatever it is that pings back to you, like whatever it is that you touched, was extraordinarily immense and extremely dangerous, and it fills you with a supreme feeling of dread. It's like your fight or flight for a brief moment, like, immediately kicks in. It's like you are being, like, it is as though a fucking tiger, like, lunged at you in your thoughts.
Yeah. All right. Well, that immediately puts me on like fucking high alert. So I'm immediately gonna like, So I spring to my feet like in a ready stance, like all like my antennae are twitching. I'm scanning, like using my eyes, my telepathy, anything I can to try and like absorb as much information as I can from around me. Try and get anything back on where or what this thing is, if it's still there. But
now,
it's gone.
You're looking around. And with like a nat 20 in perception, like 27, like you're absolutely like scanning around the room. You're checking the roof. Is there any way that they could get in there? Check the door. Is the enchantment still on the door? Like, check the window again. Is there anyone out the window? But you find yourself in that moment unable to move. Like, you think maybe you could walk over to that window and look out the window. It's too dangerous. You think maybe you could reach out with your mind and like see if you can get another touch at whatever it is that's out there, but you can't bring yourself to do it. Whatever it is that you touched might notice you are here, and it might kill you.
There is. Hold on. No, I don't have that ability yet, I think. Okay. So like I'm still scanning and everything like that, but I can't like.
Yeah, like you are on alert. You are fucking like full mast, like at the ready. But like to move around the room or to reach out again with your mind would require like an additional push, like a will save of some kind, to try and break this fear effect.
Fuck, what was it? Just like, Can I try and? I can't roll another save. Hold on.
We can say after a
What was
period
that?
of time you can roll another save.
There is.
But it would be at
Still-
least like a few minutes minimum before you'd able to make another save for this.
Yeah, no. And yeah, oh no. Sorry, the thing I was looking for was the Stillness of Mind class feature, but I don't get that until level 7.
Yes.
So I'm frightened. Looking around. All right. Since I'm that frightened, can I ready an action?
Absolutely.
All right. If anything like bursts into this room, the action I'm going to ready is to grab the bucket that Floop is in and like just secure it. Just make sure
Okay.
that she's safe.
I thought you were gonna be like just getting ready to grab that bucket and just be like surprise and like throw a frog at someone.
No, it's the.
Frog as the intruder.
Oh no. No. It's the snake is in the bed and the snake looks like they can handle themselves.
Yeah.
The goblin, he's the one who put the alarm on the door. So if the alarm does go off or anything, he's probably going to wake up on his own. But the frog, I don't know how well the frog sleeps. The frog's ears are underwater, and you know what I mean. I want to make sure that the grung is safe. But other than that, I don't. I mean, what else can I do? But just try to sit there and tremble in fear and just contemplate what the hell I just encountered, while racking my brain for what it could have possibly been. However, living an isolated life in a monastery, I don't really know what it could be. A lot of things are new and scary to me. Well, not necessarily new or scary, but I just don't know what it could possibly be. So I just kind of think to myself, and when I can, I guess I'll attempt another save to try and ready myself.
Yeah, roll another wisdom save.
Wisdom save. Alright, I clicked it, but there it goes.
There we go. Okay, so like you make ready that if anything jumps into this room, you're gonna like fucking protect this frog. And your senses are sharp as a fucking knife as you are like looking around the room and making sure that everything is secure and that you are keeping your senses like fully open for the first sign of anything that comes at you. It takes you between 5 and 10 minutes for you to kind of regain control of yourself. Like you absolutely shake that fear. You remember your training that like, you know, to empty oneself of fear, not only like the fear of death, but the fear of letting people down and the fear of failure, to just release that. And you like sort of like, you just let that go and you are, boom, full control of your faculties again.
Okay, all right. Empty mind, empty soul. Empty mind, empty soul. And I kind of repeat the mantra to myself as I kind of feel my faculties returning to myself, and as I feel myself kind of being able to move again and regain use of my limbs and stuff like that. I kind of repeat that mantra to myself, like to try and calm myself down. Okay. I'm gonna try and like pace around a little bit. You know what I mean? Just to give the room another once over, while still making sure to. I'm gonna. Should I roll a stealth check for not waking anybody up with my pacing? I'm trying to keep my steps soft enough.
Yeah,
like
you know what?
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
if you're intentionally trying to be quiet, then
I'm trying to be quiet, and realistically, I have chitinous hard feet. So.
Well, I wake up.
No, with a 9, like that's quiet. You don't make any extra sound.
It's a stealth against our passive perception.
Well, that's the thing, is that you can definitely hear him walking, but it might not necessarily, like, I would say then it's at your choice as to whether or not Vrail would wake up from this.
Yeah, I'd wake up from that because and I'll explain why.
Okay.
Because we are already on like kind of a defensive position, and because of all the because my brother was downstairs and we were worried about the possibility of people coming into the room as well. Vrail doesn't really travel outside of the temple very often, let alone spending a night.
Yeah.
So she'd be anxious as well. If she got to sleep at all, which she did, she'd still be. It would be an anxious sleep.
Of course.
So she wakes up.
Zax is sleep.
I moved to the window. Like I don't like. I'm so focused on trying to find whatever this thing is, and still while at the same time calming myself down from it still, that I don't really I don't notice Vrail wake up right away, and I instead move to the window and just kind of scan out into the darkness. I do have dark vision.
That's an insight check to see what has got him pacing.
Does
'Cause I'm just
Keeper
staring
is Keeper attempting in any way to occlude his body language?
No.
You can tell something definitely spooked
Like
him.
the antenna will be like twitching and scanning and stuff like that. And
when you woke up, you saw him pacing, and then he moved to the window, and you can see his senses are crazy fucking sharp, and something's wrong.
And I put my armor back on. Like
the sound of that kind of caused me to look over and see that she's woken up.
Yeah.
I just look at Keeper like right in the eyes knowingly.
Knowing like
I just like understand I understand what's going on.
Yeah.
something unknown outside. It was only there for a second, then it was gone. I was using my telepathy to speak with her so that I didn't wake up the other two.
Since I don't have telepathy, I don't respond.
Cool.
So like scanning the outside, I still see nothing. I'm a bit shaken. I don't but I don't like.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to be able to get back to my torpid state for the rest of the night.
How long was that?
This was about halfway through the night.
So short rest amount?
Yeah, you're looking at about maybe 1:30 in the morning.
You should try and rest. Conserve your energy for tomorrow. If anything happens, I will make noise. I'm still on watch.
I look at the curtains.
Whatever it is,
and I'm looking at the window and I'm just trying to consider, should would it be advantageous to cover the window?
You could.
Or not.
You can definitely see with the way everything is put together. You could finagle that. You could cover the window for sure.
The thought process is whether or not to do it.
I can stand watch out the window.
That I shake my head at him. I try to whisper to him.
Mm-hmm.
Stand beside the window. Don't look out.
This is a good idea. However, I don't know what it was or what it is, and if it tries to come back this time, I want it to know that I see it. I want it to know that I am not afraid of it. This is the way I steel myself. This is the way I empty my soul. There is no room in my mind. There's no room in my soul for fear. I cannot waver again.
Respectfully, you will.
If I waver, then I waver. It's another challenge to overcome. Eventually, it will no longer frighten me and I will be stronger for becoming. I will be one step closer to perfection, one step closer to the keepers.
I move up closer. I get off the bed and I walk over closer to Keeper and I say, I don't want to have to fight you if something takes control of you.
With an empty mind, with an empty soul, there is nothing for them to control. If I am to be controlled, then it is due to my own faults, my own weakness. It is because I harbor doubts. It is because I harbor imperfections
in my form, in my technique, in my mind, in my soul. These imperfections must be erased if I am to obtain perfection and sit among the seven.
She like stares him straight in the eyes without hesitation even, and says, "If you come at me for any reason, I will put you in the ground. I will not stop."
Risks are to be accepted when traveling outside the monastery. We cannot hope to obtain perfection in our form and in our mind and soul by not facing risks, by not overcoming challenges. This is the reason the masters have sent me outside of the safety and isolation of my home. This is the way it must be. If it happens, it happens.
This is the way.
I appreciate your understanding. And then I walk back over to the bed and like sit back down. I don't remove my armor, but I go back to bed.
Okay. Now typically, like 8 hours of rest is required for a long rest, and really the only time a long rest is needed is in order to like refresh health and abilities used and whatnot. And as nobody's used anything more than cantrips as recently, you're not taking on any like levels of exhaustion or anything like that for the next day while you guys are going to be going through your challenges. The next morning comes with relative swiftness. Keeper stands watch at the window, I guess, for the rest of the night, yeah?
Yep. I make sure to, like, I go and I pick up Floop's bucket and very, very carefully make sure that I set it down next to me so that it's within arm's reach if anything does happen.
That's very cute.
But
you know what? Roll me acrobatics.
Acrobatics?
Yeah. How gently do you move this bucket? 25. You know, I would say Floop doesn't even notice.
I slept like a dog.
Sleep like the bog.
Sleep like a cat in the winter.
Snug as a bug in the rug, and that bug's got a mug, says number one bug. You sleep the rest of the evening. Zax, you get good rest. Vril, like because the rest of the evening passes relatively without incident, you manage to eke out at least some decent rest for the rest of the evening. Keeper, as you maintain watch at the window, you slowly watch, and this is definitely something that you've done at the monastery, but it's not something that you've done down here, looking out the window. And it's almost poetic to you, because looking out this window, like, this is the view that these people have. The view from your monastery is certainly a lot larger, a lot vaster. You can see definitely more, but you miss those details, and you remember that lesson that your master gave you, that being down closer definitely narrows your vision in, but allows you to see things a lot closer. Looking out the window, as daylight slowly comes, you watch as the alleyways and whatnot behind the inn slowly fill with light. On one occasion, you see a orc carrying a chamber pot into the back of the alley to where the sort of like the sewer trench opening is. And he, as he's emptying the bucket, looks up to see you in the window and goes, "Oh, fuck!" and like falls over, dropping his bucket and spilling a little bit of his chamber pot on his feet. And he goes, "Fuck! Damn it!" Picking up his bucket, trudges off.
I kind of hold my hand out, like open palm forward, and just a hello, like peaceful symbol.
He like nods and tries to give a wave. He's very embarrassed. He makes his way up. The morning comes, and you guys awake and are offered on the house, for those who are going to be participating in the challenge, the tournament in the arena, you are offered a free breakfast and refreshments as you go out in the morning. Vrail does not see her brother amongst the number of people in the tavern as you are enjoying those refreshments in the morning.
Rail does not partake in the refreshments in the morning.
Okay. Yeah. And as the sort of crisp morning air is coming in through the windows and one of the doors has been propped open, you guys are then instructed to, if you are ready, head on down to the arena and things will begin.
If I just to make a small point here, while the team is eating breakfast, I just kind of grab I will just kind of grab my bread, and let them know that I'll meet up with them afterwards. And I'm going to just leave the tavern to just go and do my morning form routines, my kata, my training exercises, my morning meditation, stuff like that. Just kind of practicing my punches, my kicks, you know what I mean, doing my my internal martial arts, just to kind of ready myself and calm myself down from last night. And then I meet up with them afterwards.
Certainly. You find an open space across the street from the tavern where you can perform your morning kata.
Zax also needs to actually go back to Par's parts to get his out.
Ah, yeah. You quickly head to Par's parts in the early hours of the morning. As you make your way into the shop, Par is absolutely ready and waiting for you there. He's got the egg sitting next. It seems to have been it's a little less rusty now, but still sort of scrappy. And he pushes the button on the top, which opens it up and motions for you to take it out for the day.
All right. I climb right on in and make sure that the legs are at least forward and back enough to be able to actually fit out of the door, because I do imagine that this thing is not too wide, but pretty wide, so that it probably couldn't walk directly out the door.
The door to the front, thankfully enough, is made to accommodate large-sized creatures. So when the door is opened, the robot is able to make its way out into the street. And it happily makes its way down the street. Do you use the controls, or do you just give it a command?
I'm gonna try and get used to the controls, so I'm gonna use the controls for this part.
I feel like that thing is about a 12%.
It very happily chirps as you grab a hold of the controls and make your way down the street.
All right, and so I make my way up to the tavern and try and meet up with everybody.
just strolling up to the front of the tavern in a fucking mechanical spider mount. Just what's up, bitches? But yeah, so you make your way there, and for Floop, do you have anything that you do in the morning other than collapse up your bucket and take your refreshments?
I'll make sure that the rations I have of moss is properly moistened so I don't lose it. And she'll probably try to find a place where there's a bit of nature in town so she can just, rest in and probably just being a druid, hugging a tree or something like that.
Well, I mean, heading out into the city proper, there isn't a lot of nature around. There's trees here and there, but you know that as soon as you get out of the gates, there's definitely lots of wooded areas off either side of the path that you could use on the way to the arena.
Then she go outside and spend some time in the woods.
All right. But you guys make your way to the arena?
I investigate outside the window on the outside of the tavern.
Absolutely. Roll me perception.
Not investigation? Okay.
Or
I mean, I'd prefer perception.
Is investigation still a separate thing?
Yeah.
It is.
Yep, investigation.
Huh. All right. Yeah, roll me investigation. I thought that was one of the ones that they took out. 11. What are you looking for in specific?
Probably clues on the outside of the window.
I'm looking for any particularly odd footprints or marks on the outside of the window. I would also look to see if there was any magic used outside the window.
That
Which
would be
would
an
probably be
Arcanum
a-
check. Yeah. If you want to roll Arcanum separately, you can absolutely do that to check for magic.
I mean, I don't want to roll Arcana.
Yeah, I want to roll something else. Yeah, that's the thing. Like looking around for signs of magic, you don't see anything. It doesn't appear as though anything happened. I mean, you didn't see what happened, though. Something definitely spooked your bug friend, so it's hard to tell. With an investigation of 11, looking around in the alleyways behind the inn, as the sun pours in over the rooftops in between the buildings, looking around, you don't see like any footprints or any sign that someone was there. There isn't even really any other people or a lot of other windows facing this space. But you could swear on the edge of the wind you smell him.
Noted.
Like it's just like the smallest hint, but you recognize that smell.
Do I remember the eyes that I saw? Like I just said, I just saw them out of the corner of like. But was I able to recognize like pupil shape? Or just glowing red eyes?
Just some glowing red eyes.
Fair enough.
During the morning preparations, after Zach would have gotten his spider mount, he's gonna take out his woodworking tools and start carving some runes into his walking stick.
Excellent.
All right, I meet up with the rest of the group,
Okay.
and I am taken aback by this spider mech.
I pause while making the runes and just kind of give her a raised eyebrow, and then go right back to working.
Even
Also,
I'm fascinated by this.
I would have also changed back into my abomination form before leaving the room.
Okay.
And I would have, once I finished my morning routine, I would have redonned my hooded cloak and my mask.
Excellent. Esteban. Ah, yes. That unique whiff of asshole on the wind.
So that's another thing.
Fluke clearly is gonna look at the giant mecha spider and hide behind Keeper.
All right. So you guys gather in the streets and make your way down to the arena. As you are approaching, there's sort of like the main entrance is where a lot of the citizens and the regular people from the kingdom are flooding in. There's lots of people coming in now, considerably more than previous. And there is some signage that's been put up that there is a side entrance for anybody that is participating in the game specifically. To which, when you are brought over, there is a series of like there's a series of blackguard that are guarding the entrance to that area, as well as stationed within those rooms to watch the participants before they head into the arena area. As you guys are standing in there, you notice that all the other groups of people that you saw in the tavern are also present. There's a few other individuals that have also gathered, and they're standing within their small groups. Then
And there's some groups that show up.
in comes Benji. He comes in, and he has in his left hand a collection of cloth strips. And he walks around to each of the groups and hands them a color. So like that one minotaur with the big iron ring in his nose is grouped together with a few other creatures. They're handed a few strips of orange cloth, which he ties one to his horn. One of the other people ties it around his neck. Someone else ties it around their wrist. He explains that these colors will be given to everybody as a means to identify who's on what team. And as it goes around, he's giving them all out, and he comes to you guys at your group and gives you some scarves of a pale sky blue.
I mine to my wrist.
I take the sky blue strip of cloth in my hands. I take a moment and I shift the color of my chitin to match the color perfectly.
Ah.
And then I tie the strip of fabric around my wrist.
Cool.
I nod approvingly to Keeper.
Yes.
I take a moment and having my shoulders relatively bare. I tie it to the between my shoulder and my elbow. That patch of green there now has the blue ribbon on it.
All right.
Floop is just gonna make a cute ribbon and tie it to her lily pad.
Oh. Yeah, the little lily flower that's on the top of your head.
It matches the lily.
Little bow.
Tied into a little bow.
Oh, that's so cute.
I'm tying the little bow on the lily flower.
Well, you don't have any hair necessarily to tie it to, but you tie it in a little bow and just like stick it on the top of your head, and it sticks.
I tuck the like loose edges of the tie into itself, so it can't be grabbed or snag on stuff.
So, as everyone is gathered, Benjamin then turns to the assembled groups of people that are within the relatively dark chamber, save for a few torches and the light pouring in from the stairway that leads up into the arena. And he says, right, so, as each challenge is announced for all of you, you will have the opportunity to either face the challenges as individuals or as groups as you see fit. Some challenges will require only a single one of each of your groups, like a single member of each of your groups to step forward to face the challenge. Some challenges will require all of you together. We will see this as it goes. Do we have any more questions before we begin?
When do we start?
He turns to you and somehow gives a big toothy smile. And he goes, right now. And gestures in a big fucking grandiose fashion for you guys to go out. Though in this moment, you notice that, Vrail, your brother's not in here.
Got it.
And you guys step out into the arena.
Can I make like a perception check just to take it all in? It's clearly a grand spectacle.
Oh, absolutely. Go for it.
It's like seeing that many people all together at once. Like, you just gotta take in the wonder and amazement
absolutely.
of all these different types of people all gathered together, and being at the center of it is it's such a shock. It's such a different kind of it's nothing like I've ever experienced before.
So as you guys step into the center of this absolutely colossal arena, the stands are packed with a mixture of faces. You see greenskins, you see lizard people, you see grung, you see undead, you see like monstrous races, you see minotaur, you see everybody in all manner of mixes out there. As you guys make your way into the center of the arena, a singular goblin is standing out to one side. He then pulls free from the side of his belt a magical rod, which he then activates, and when he speaks at an incredible volume to the audience.
Ladies and gentlemen, everyone in between, welcome to the first seasonal Autometh Games!
And the crowd goes absolutely nuts.
As this is all happening, I'm using prestidigitation and having colored sparks, go off above our group.
Yeah, you fucking shoot these fucking sparks all over the place, out through the air, and it is absolutely great. And there, ladies and gentlemen, we will call our game today.
No, we refuse. No.
They refused.
We refuse.
I just wanted to add that upon seeing everybody, she would probably start croaking. And when she sees Grunk, she just waves at them and goes back to croaking nervously and will sometimes lick one of her eyes because of the dust.
All right, and on that, ladies and gentlemen, that's our game for today. I know, Resident, I would love to keep going, but my voice is starting to strain, and I don't want to get into more coughing fits than I've already been in today. So,
Yeah, I care for my DM more than just the game.
Yeah, so do I. But
I gotta
also,
tell you, this has
can be
been so
mad
much
about
fun.
it.
I'm so fucking thrilled about all of this. Oh my god. Oh, I'm so excited now as well because for all the new people that are out here, thank you, Kara, for the hydrate. I just took my sip. We thankfully enough, for all the new people that are here, we run our D&D like this every Thursday. It is 5th edition monster campaign, so all of the characters that we are playing are monstrous races from a big old kingdom of monsters under the ground. We have our A team, which is just played today, and our B team is swaps with them every other Thursday. They are currently in the middle of a cursed town, trying to fight their way through an evil mansion to perhaps bring about an end to the curse and find someone's long-lost daughter. So that is crazy excited. I can't pick favorites over who I'm more excited for out of these two groups.
I can.
I'm pretty sure people wouldn't actually be aware of the amount of cuteness that I can put onto a frog. The amount of cuteness that.
Well, it's adorable.
Looking at the picture right now, I can believe it.
And that's another thing. You guys should each have the ability, if you want, to like drag and drop your characters' pictures into the map if you want to show them off briefly. If you've sort of
mine's on my sheet, but if you actually just make it so that you can see the avatars.
How can you drop it?
You actually just click on the picture, drag it out onto the field, and let go.
Doesn't seem to be working for me.
If you go to your character's bio and info.
Oh, okay.
So not the character sheet tab at the top, the bio and info one. So your picture that's there, you just click and drag it onto the map, and bam. Oop. Here, I'll erase mine.
I can't seem to get it to work for me.
You want me to help you out?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I only have the picture of the I only have the picture of the mask that I wear right now. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're in your bio and info. You don't have a picture currently in.
Right.
There's nothing to drag and drop out there. But that'll be a mystery that we'll bring in for next time, ladies and gentlemen, you beautiful people. Heck yeah.
What about my my avatar picture? Just the picture of the mask? No?
I don't know how to drag and drop that onto the thing yet.
It doesn't seem to be working. Yeah, whatever. It's a simple porcelain mask with just two eye holes.
I can get it for him for next time.
Absolutely.
For next week, we can totally play again.
Yeah, because this was technically the other team's spot. So next week it's back to us again, right?
We'll see. Yeah, Esteban in the chat. No. Yeah, the B team is in the chat, and they are very, very excited to get back into this. Yeah, Floop would absolutely be friends with Piffles, I think.
Okay.
I think that would be very cute.
What I'm thinking is that I need to make a character for the B team as well.
Well, I'm just going to need to make a character for the B team, too. Goddamn. Oh, man. That was great. So thank you everybody for coming on out to our live stream of this game. This has been a huge amount of fun. I believe all of these episodes are being downloaded and uploaded to YouTube by a One Deathwatch lore keeper. The channel for that is somewhere on our Discord channel, linked down below. For anybody that wants to regularly join our group, go ahead on down to the Discord, which is below. There's a link for that underneath this stream. If you want to join our community of surprisingly nice people, we're told. We're alarmingly not assholes. So, yeah. Strangely enough, we're not terrible. But yeah, if you want to come and give us a join, please feel free. But until next time, I have been your kind of benevolent DM this evening, Dr. Terrawat. This is our Layer 4.0. We are joined by our wonderful players here. Going from the top down, we got Spooty Poots playing Vrail.
Yeah. I need to kill my brother.
And we've got Casey playing Floop.
Yay!
And we've got Warden playing Keeper.
Blessings of the Seven.
And last but certainly not least, we've got Shaskar playing Zax.
This is going to be the flashiest show in the West.
And thank you all so much for your support, for all your views and your donations, your bits and subscriptions. Thank you all so much for your love, and we will see you all next time. End of line.